Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the July 15th, 2025 council meeting. Before we begin our public hearings this afternoon, I'd like to announce that Council Vice President Jawando and Councilmember Sales are attending virtually this afternoon. So we will begin with item 7, which is a public hearing on a resolution to approve supplemental appropriation number 25-76 to the FY25 operating budget, Montgomery County Government, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Services, FY25, Senator Amos Fire, Rescue, and Ambulance Fund, State 508 grant in the amount of almost $2 million. The source of funds is a state grant. A Public Safety Committee work session is scheduled for July 21st, 2025. Those wishing to submit material for the council's consideration should do so by the close of business today. There are no registered speakers for this hearing. The public hearing is now closed. Item 8 is a public hearing on corrective map amendment H-158, 7979 Old Georgetown Road. CMA H-158 will correct a technical error in the zoning for 7979 Old Georgetown Road, Bethesda, Maryland. Council action is tentatively scheduled for July 22nd, 2025. Those wishing to submit material for the council's consideration should do so by the close of business today. As a reminder of our public hearing testimony guidelines, your comments must be limited to issues relevant to the public hearing topic for which you are testifying and are appropriate for a public meeting. You will hear a tone when your time is up, and we appreciate everyone abiding by their allotted time. We have one speaker for this item, and it's Larissa Kelvin from our Montgomery Planning.
Good afternoon, Council President Stewart and members of the Council. My name is Larissa Clevin, and I am the Master Plan Supervisor for West County Planning Division at Montgomery Planning. I'm here today to testify in support of Corrective Map Amendment H-158. The CMA corrects a technical error that led to an inaccurate depiction of a zoning classification for a property located at 7979 Old Georgetown Road, which is within the 2017 Bethesda Downtown Plan. On April 22nd of this year, the Montgomery County Planning Board reviewed CMA H-158 and unanimously voted to approve the filing of the CMA with a recommendation of approval by the Planning Board. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here this week. This public hearing is now closed. Item 9 is a public hearing on zoning text amendment 25-08 exemptions landscape contractor. This ZTA would allow landscape contractors in rural cluster zone who have expanded their footprint beyond what was otherwise permissible to maintain their grandfather status if the property owner returns the total square footage of on-site operations to that which existed as of October 30th, 2014. A Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee work session is scheduled for July 28th, 2025. Those wishing to submit materials for the council's consideration should do so by the close of business on July 21st, 2025. As a reminder, our public hearing testimony guidelines, your comments must be limited to issues relevant to the public hearing topic for which you are testifying and are appropriate for a public meeting. You will hear a tone when your time is up, and we appreciate everyone abiding by their allotted time. We have 5 speakers who are here in person. I'll call you down now. We have Jim Brown, Benjamin Berbert, Casey Sinera, Don Thurber, and Thomas Kelter. I see we have a number of folks from Poolesville. Welcome. Always. Good to see you.
One thing I just want to approach, if you council's okay with it, we were under the impression that we were going to be testifying for the leaf blower ban. I'm not sure how we got signed up for this part of it.
Oh, all right.
So we're ready to wait, or we could get started, or tell us what you want us to do.
I think why don't we actually have you, if you don't mind, wait, and we'll put you at the top of the, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, and we
All right.
appreciate the indulgence. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Is that okay? All right. So then, Mr. Berbert, we'll start with you.
All right, thank you. My name is Benjamin Berbert, and I'm here today representing the Montgomery County Planning Board and giving you a summary of the hearing that they had the other week on this zoning text amendment. As has already been said before, this really is an amendment trying to update some existing exemption language within the zoning ordinance. It does two sort of important things. One, it clarifies that on-site operations should be measured as the amount of square footage so that we actually know what we're measuring and what we're trying to bring a site back to. And two, and more importantly, it does provide that provision to allow for up to one violation and a site to be able to then restore itself back to the original size of those operations. This really matters because under a normal planning circumstance, you have an approved plan, and if there's a violation, you just restore the site to the approved plan and you can move on. But here, because it's an exemption rather than a plan approval, as soon as you were to go in violation of this, your exemption's gone and you sort of have nothing. The planning board thought this was really unfortunate and strongly supported allowing an opportunity to have a site restore itself back to the approvals of 2014 rather than having to go to conditional use permit. And the only way to effectively do that is to allow for a violation that can be resolved. The planning board also did consider a climate assessment as part of the ZTA. It found minimal impacts, some positive, some negative. Positive impacts would include any site restoration, adding more green area, potential reduction of any flooding or other hazards. One of the kind of fun negatives here, if there are removal of actual structures or asphalt as part of sort of restoring a site back, there are embedded carbon emissions to actually creating these materials, and if they are getting torn down before the end of their useful lifespan, that is seen as a slight negative. That concludes my testimony.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. Good afternoon, President Stewart and members of the council. For the record, Casey Cerner with a law firm of Miles and Stockbridge. I am here on behalf of Woods Blaster LLC, doing business as Silver Spring Landscaping, and with me is Don Thurber, the business owner. So we're here to express our support for ZTA 2508. It makes two important changes to the legacy provisions for landscape contractors operating in the RC zone since October 30th, 2014. And as Mr. Berber explained, it provides for enforcement of the provision based on the total square footage of the landscape contractor operational footprint. And it also allows the footprint to be retracted to its original square footage before triggering a conditional use. So enforcement under this provision is currently requires that any enlargement or expansion to the operational footprint triggers a conditional use. So this applies no matter how small or how accidental the expansion or enlargement is, and oftentimes the enforcement doesn't match the activity. So based on the way the legacy provision is currently written, DPS does not allow for a landscape contractor to retract their operational footprint. Once there's an expansion or enlargement, again, no matter how small or how accidental, a conditional use is required to continue operating the existing business, which at this point has been operating for over 11 years. Or the other option is to stop operations. So requiring a conditional use in all enforcement actions rather than allowing for a retraction of the footprint puts a very heavy regulatory burden on these legacy landscape contractors. It seems to be fundamentally unfair when typically enforcement actions provide for two options: one, to undo the violation, or to seek approval to come into compliance. That is why allowing for one opportunity to retract the operational footprint to maintain the legacy status is important. And allowing for one opportunity also prevents abuse of the provision, so you don't have repeat offenders. And it also gives grace to those landscape contractors who didn't realize they were operating under these parameters. And then enforcing the grandfathering provision based on the small businesses' total square footage aligns with their operational characteristics, which match how they swap materials and plants in and out of their operational footprints, causing them to function somewhat like an amoeba. And so measuring compliance with this legacy provision based on the total square footage will match the operational characteristics and also provide flexibility where they could lose their legacy status. So thank you, and we urge you to adopt the ZTA.
Thank you very much. Mr. Thurber?
My name is Don Thurber, owner of Silver Spring Landscaping. I want to thank Councilmember Mink for introducing this ZTA. I also would like to echo my attorney's testimony and ask that you support and adopt this CTA. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Those are all the speakers we have for this zoning text amendment. The public hearing is now closed. Mr. Brown, Mr. Kettler, you can stay right where you are. So our next public hearing is item 10, and is a public hearing on expedited bill 19-25, noise control leaf removal equipment seasonal exemption. This bill would provide an exemption for landscape professionals to use gas-powered leaf blower equipment during certain months of the year, set a sunset date for the seasonal exemption, and generally amend the law regarding noise control. A Transportation and Environment Committee work session is scheduled for July 28, 2025. Those wishing to submit material for the council's consideration should do so by the close of business on July 21st, 2025. As a reminder of our public hearing testimony guidelines, your comments must be limited to issues relevant to the public hearing topic for which you are testifying and are appropriate for a public meeting. You will hear a tone when your time is up, and we appreciate everyone abiding by their allotted time. In addition, I'd like to call down Tricia Swanson, Kevin Walton, and Vivian Thompson. And Mr. Brown, why don't you kick us off as the other folks are coming down?
Got it. You mean kick us off again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. To the council, first, before I even get into this issue, I just want to say thanks for all your continued support for Poolesville, all the initiatives that we've undertaken together as partners. We're deeply appreciative in the town between the school, community center, revitalization of Poolesville Elementary School, and our future pool bubble. I want to say thanks to everybody for your cooperation, partnership, and we really appreciate you guys. I'm here to represent the town of Poolesville and the businesses that operate in and around our region. As you know, we are the home to some of the most civic-minded, community-minded type companies that you can imagine that contribute to our community directly throughout the entire county. They may work down county, but they live up county, and they live with us in places like Poolesville. These businesses and their owners are big contributors to our local economy. Again, the money may get paid down county, but they spend it up in our community. They live here, they raise their kids here, they help run our community events. They're actually really, really big. The landscaping company is one of the few permitted businesses in the Ag Reserve and around our region. They thrive, and we appreciate what they do for us in Poolesville. You'll hear from some of these standout landscaping businesses that have been affected by the gas backpack ban. There's the biggies: Fine Earth Landscaping, Coleman Landscaping. They'll be testifying. Grow and Prosper. There's a group. We also have dozens of smaller landscaping companies that are undercapitalized, scraping by. One or two of them, many of them minority or women owned. It's pretty amazing. Plus, we also have support businesses that work on gas engines all the time. It's a big deal in the Ag Reserve. You got to have somebody that can work on things. So we have several of those, which I know that are headed towards being struggling. Up to this point, they've all been taking on this burden of the law change, and you have to look at it in our way is that every dollar that's invested into something that may or may not work that well for them, it's not only a burden to the company, but it also is a burden. It takes away from dollars that are being spread throughout the community in different ways. That's a big deal for us because we're still reeling from COVID to some degree, and obviously from the loss of White's Ferry and all the commerce that brought to us. The town of Poolesville itself, in addition to all these private companies, we're making those same decisions right now too about dollars. We have not been able to fully implement an electric leaf blower system. It's really expensive, obviously, for us, and we're using the taxpayer dollars, as you know. But on top of it, it's our infrastructure down at our main plant where all this would take place. The upgrade for that main plant, just to be able to charge things to the degree that we need to, is going to be $50,000. $50,000 we don't have right this second. We love the technology. We have gas trimmers. We have electric trimmers. We have electric other equipment, but the gas blowers, they don't work for us. And we have 65 acres of town property that we use and that we have to maintain. So I ask again that you can reconsider the ban and put in the exemption in place, and we thank you for the time.
Thank you. Mr. Kettler? If you could press your button, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Tom Kettler. I'm here as president of the Poolesville Area Chamber of Commerce. We represent businesses throughout the western Montgomery County, with Poolesville being at the hub of it. I've been a lifelong resident of Montgomery County. My business is Kettler Four Lines Homes. We've been here in Montgomery County since 1978, so we've been around a long time. We have a number of, and just to dovetail on what Jim said, we have a number of members in our organization that are landscape contractors, and they are of all different sizes and shapes. Poolsville is a very good area for landscapers because we've got your real estate out there for them to have their setups and their shops and so on and so forth. I've heard from a number of them that they are, and when they're appreciative of the county considering this amendment to the bill to give the exemption for the leaf blower battery to use gas-powered leaf blowers in the fall, because the electric ones are going to be very problematic in terms of the length of time. It's one. I mean, I have an electric one in my house. I use it for 10 minutes and I put it away. But these professional landscapers are out there for hours a day, and their batteries are not going to last. They're going to have to buy multiple sets. We've all seen the stories of the batteries in people's garage, lithium batteries having stability problems, getting overheated in the trucks, so on and so forth. And so we're concerned from a safety standpoint of our members and their employees. So that's something that we feel very strongly about. The other thing I believe is true, I'm not familiar with all the aspects of the bill, but I believe that the Montgomery County school system and Montgomery Parks are exempt from this particular ordinance. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if that's the case, then it's all the more reason that, if you're going to implement something like this, I think it should be across the board and not have carve-outs for county agencies. That's been a pattern in the past in certain areas, which I personally find difficult to deal with. But again, we are very supportive of our membership in this, and some of them will testify later today. They'll get into more of the technical aspects of it because I don't run a landscape business myself, but appreciate the opportunity to speak for you today, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Swanson?
Good afternoon, Tricia Swanson on behalf of the County Executive. I'm here in respectful opposition to Bill 1925. It was just 2 years ago that this council underwent an extensive and deliberative process to phase out gas-powered leaf blowers, and that process included comprehensive public hearings, detailed fiscal analyses, and careful consideration of business concerns. And Bill 1925 asks us to take a step backward after significant county investment. We've allocated resources for the reimbursement program, conducted extensive outreach, and some businesses have adapted accordingly. The overwhelming response to our rebate program, with over 500 applications on the first day this month alone, demonstrates that the law is working. Beyond the policy reversal, this bill creates significant operational challenges. It would complicate enforcement by creating a confusing patchwork where homeowners would remain prohibited from using gas blowers, while hired landscaping companies would receive exemptions. This undermines the straightforward, impartial enforcement that we currently have. That said, after talking to the sponsor and after hearing community concerns, the county executive does agree with re-examining the enforcement provisions, particularly taking photos and submitting them to DEP. Particularly in this political climate, the last thing we would ever want is for any individual or individuals to not feel safe in our county and in our communities. So we have begun discussions with DEP to look at either removing that part of the enforcement or maybe taking a different approach to that enforcement. So while the county executive is opposed to the seasonal exemption, he does strongly support re-looking at the enforcement provision, and we look forward to having those discussions in committee at the end of the month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. Mr. Walton?
Hi, my name is Kevin Walton. I'm a representative of the Climate Coalition of Montgomery County, and I'm here in opposition to Bill 1925, which delays the complete ban of gas-powered leaf blowers, which was approved by this council on September 23 by an overwhelming vote of 10 to 1. And I just first want to say I agree with you, there shouldn't be carve-outs. So. When this council was deliberating the gas-powered leaf blower ban, our primary concern was the development of an effective rebate program by DEP. The program approved by this council helps residential users and commercial landscape companies. It was specifically designed to support the start of the ban on July 1st of 2025. The rebate program extends through December of 2026, a year and a half after the ban goes into effect. This supports DEP's goal to not punitively cite users, but to provide time to allow companies to take advantage of the rebate and get into compliance. Council members emphasized that the county's information efforts must also reach smaller companies. Based on this criterion, the program's success is clear. There are about 500 rebates given out, including 205 for commercial users. Of those 205, 187, that is 91%, were to revenue qualifying businesses. Thus, my first point is that small businesses in Montgomery County are well informed and do not need the exemption. Now, related to this point, Rupert Landscape was mentioned in the bill's background as one of the companies that could take advantage of the delay. They are, quote, one of the largest landscaping companies in the region. Well, they are a national company serving the East Coast from Pennsylvania to Florida and Texas. And this includes Washington, D.C., which has had a ban on gas-powered leaf blowers since 2022. If they can comply with the law in D.C., then they should comply in Montgomery County. A second issue also compels rejection of this bill. When discussing the original Bill 1822, Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez said, quote, "This is not just about noise, it's about health." She was referring to the fact that gas leaf blowers expose workers to substantial exhaust emissions. This includes hydrocarbons for both burned and unburned fuel to generate ozone, carbon monoxide, benzene, acetaldehyde, and formaldehyde. These all have harmful health effects. The latter three are probable human carcinogens. And my last point is that there's an issue of fairness. Many landscaping companies made a business decision to plan ahead and take advantage of the county's efforts to help in the transition. With the ban now in effect, after DEP has spent over $600,000 to inform users and provide rebates, and after more than 200 rebates have been given to mostly smaller companies, this exemption shows little respect to those forward-thinking businesses who seek to be good citizens and engaged members of the Montgomery County community. I urge you to vote against Bill 1925 and its delay of the complete ban of gas-powered leaf blowers, which went into effect 2 weeks ago. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Ms. Thompson?
I'm Dr. Vivian Thompson. Thank you for the chance to speak today against Bill 1925. Expedited Bill 1925 guts the county's leaf blower ban and represents a giant leap backwards. This 11th hour bill compromises worker and public health and caves to firms that have failed to plan for the ban. Gasoline-powered leaf blowers have justifiably earned the label the devil's hair dryer. In our Maryland Matters commentary, Kit Gage and I detail the litany of their adverse effects, which include exposure to harmful noise levels and to a toxic brew of air pollutants. Bill 1925 would impose a cruel bargain on landscape workers. We'll have to keep educating the public about the multiple threats posed by gasoline-powered leaf blowers. Bill 1925 undercuts the many local firms that are preparing conscientiously for the ban. We've heard there are hundreds of companies that have received or applied for the county rebates for electric equipment, and of course, the district's ban has been in place since 2022, and many local companies have complied with that ban. This month, the industry trade publication Lawn and Landscape said in its cover article, electric equipment makes business sense because it protects worker health and it's quiet, clean, durable, low maintenance, and easy to use. Restrictions on gasoline-powered leaf blowers will continue to spur innovation. Montgomery County joined a long list of cities around the U.S. with bans. In California, new leaf blowers are subject to a zero-emission standard. Just 2 months ago, Alexandria, Virginia became the first Virginia locality to adopt a ban after a favorable Attorney General opinion. Other Virginia localities will likely follow suit. When relatively few Alexandria landscapers responded to a survey, one council member said, well, I guess the ban isn't such a big deal for our landscapers, so the council shortened its ban phase-out to 18 months. County code here in Montgomery County says an expedited bill should be necessary for the immediate protection of the public health, safety, or interest. But 1925's rationale is all about alleged harm to private entities. So far, the online comments in support of Bill 1925 are swamped by angry letters from county residents who oppose the bill and feel betrayed. If this bill passes in fall 2026, voters will be reminded of your decision when they hear the leaf blowers blasting away. A vote for 1925 rewards laggards. A vote against supports businesses complying with the ban and protects worker and public health. Please don't blow it.
Thank you. Thank you to this group of speakers. Our next group that I'll call down include Paul Kalinowski, Russell Sturm, Kit Gage, Keith Bauman, Julie Kuhlman. Mr. Kalinowski, you can start when you are ready.
I hit your button there.
Yeah. There you go.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Kalinowski, and I am the owner of Collins Landscaping. I would first like to publicly thank the Lord for this day and for us all being able to be here. Regardless of what side of the issue we are on, we are all blessed to share in being in the greatest country in the United States, where we can openly discuss and peacefully debate when we have differences. I would also like to thank the 9 council members who have given me the opportunity to meet directly or to meet with your chiefs of staff. I believe this reflects your concern for Montgomery County small businesses, our employees, and the Montgomery County residents that we serve. A special thank you to Councilmember Albornoz for his willingness to fight for all those adversely affected by the current law. I have been in the landscaping business for 36 years and am a proud lifelong Montgomery County resident. I graduated from the University of Maryland studying horticulture and landscape architecture. As someone who loves nature and all that it offers, I chose a career in which I could help both beautify and preserve it. I believe in and practice raking, composting, and the like, but I also know that one shoe does not fit all. We are here today to ask for a compromise, as the battery technology is simply not there for landscape contractors to do our work in the fall. These blowers only run for about 40 minutes, powered by 2 or 3 heavy batteries, and then need to be recharged over and over again. We are asking for just 3 months of the year, while using battery equipment for the other 9. When I approached Mr. Albornoz last winter to ask if he would consider introducing a new bill, my main motivation was and continues to be to protect the jobs of my loyal, mostly Hispanic employees. Many, having worked for me for more than 20 years, are deeply concerned about the impact this will have on their livelihoods. Due to the significant costs associated with the battery blowers and the need to convey many of these costs onto our customers, we will undoubtedly continue to lose jobs. This impacts both our team, along with costing our Montgomery County customers considerably more money due to the same work as in previous years. Over the last few weeks, it has been said that the purpose of Councilmember Albornoz's bill is to accommodate those companies dragging their feet for firms that have failed to prepare for the ban. This is simply not true. In full transparency, I have already spent over $62,000 on blowers, batteries, chargers, simply to be compliant with the law. We will need 4 times this amount of equipment, including hundreds of batteries for the fall. If this bill does not pass, we will also be forced to purchase approximately 20 gas generators running at our job sites to charge these batteries throughout the day. These generators will pollute and make continuous noise. It is not a good solution, but it will be our only option. When asked recently by a reporter what benchmarks will determine the success of this ban, our county executive said, quote, "Fewer complaints from people, less letters coming into my mailbox. A reduction in the amount of complaints we get would be a measurable change. With all due respect to our county executive, I believe helping to prevent people from losing their jobs, helping keeping costs from increasing to Montgomery County residents, and keeping local businesses up and running are far more significant metrics of bill success than less complaints in a mailbox. On behalf of the men of Montgomery County residents and businesses, including the nearly 2,200 people who have signed our petition, I'm asking for your support and pass Bill 1925. Thank you.
Thank you. Russell Sturm. Mr. Sturm? Russell Sturm? Yes. Oh, sorry.
I thank the council for the peace and tranquility we've enjoyed in the Brookdale neighborhood since July 1. It's been a revelation. I'm therefore perplexed by the council's hasty consideration of the ill-conceived Bill 1925, which would bail out non-compliant companies and again shift the costs from users of the technology to those who do not use it. I've got 3 primary fundamental flaws that I'd like to point out about the legislation. First, the weekend ban would not, in fact, protect homeowners from invasive noise and pollution. A lot of folks at home during the week, including myself, where my home office is rendered unuseful, whenever the machines are rolled out down the block. I measured 90 decibels in my living room and in my home office when the neighbor's landscape service starts up their machines. This causes me economic harm. I have hearing loss and tinnitus and debilitating anxiety when those things are moving. Second, the seasonal exemption is intended to limit economic harm of the law. In fact, all it does is shift the economic cost from those that use the technology that those do not. We pay the price in lost work time, I do personally, lost access to my peaceful home, impaired health, and that's economic injustice. I use a rake when I try to use it in the front yard and the monsters roll out next door, I take cover inside, and that's not right. Finally, the false claim, I've reviewed what machines are out there. I have here 10 copies for the council of my analysis that lays out what machines are available, what their performance is, and these are all been filtered to meet the requirements of commercial operators, so fleet operations for commercial applications. Did an economic analysis. My conclusion as a former business owner is that those companies that have not invested, not taken advantage of the county's generous financial subsidies in order to transition their fleet, lower their costs, improve competitiveness for the inevitable future, and comply with the current law are not managing the companies well. It's not the county's job to compensate slow-moving, non-compliant companies for their inaction over the past 20 months. And I think it would be a gross injustice to the competing companies that have invested time and money to be compliant, as well as those who are the victims. I respectfully ask two questions to the council. What has changed since passage of the law other than improved technology options? And second, what will the council do to address the harm to the companies already in compliance and those who pay the price by living near these monsters? Thank you for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Kit Gage. Kit.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think it's on. Thank you. My name is Kit Gage. I've lived in Montgomery County for over 40 years. I'm advocacy director of Friends of Sligo Creek and a Chesapeake Bay landscape professional. Speaking on behalf of Friends of Sligo Creek, I opposed Expedited Bill 1925. Starting with a joke that's not a joke, my husband suggested I just play the sound of a gas blower at normal volume, then give my testimony and see if you could hear it. Perhaps not. In my more than 40 years working on legislative matters, national and local, I've never seen a bill, a more universally popular bill than the gas blower ban. Everyone I've talked with before and after passage, including landscape workers and Espagnoli and Inglés, using gas blowers has been in favor of switching to electric. From a noise perspective, Montgomery County prides itself on nurturing its workers. These are the people affected most by this amendment. They are at serious risk of hearing loss and may not even know it. They benefit not one whit if during the highest blower use time, blowing and collecting fallen leaves, they end up having to use gas blowers. Is there money in this amendment to pay for hearing aids? I ask. People actually using the blowers are the least empowered in our county, and some may not be familiar with its systems or aware they are allowed to affect them. Particularly those new to the country, people with English as a second language, are who you see using blowers. They are unlikely to risk their jobs to ask even for hearing protection. Why would Montgomery County not focus on helping them rather than continuing their bad work environment? We must speak out for them and with them. From an environmental and climate perspective, we should be seeking to limit the use of blowers in general, but particularly dirty, noisy gas blowers. We should be consistent. The Leave the Leaves movement, endorsed by Montgomery County government, means don't blow them and all the accompanying byproducts of inefficient internal combustion engines and particulates around to be inhaled and ingested by workers, children, and everyone else. There can be reasons to move leaves around, but minimize that activity and do it safely. Friends of Sligo Creek helped initiate and promote the original bill. We have received accolades from around the county and the country for our work. This amendment would gut the original bill allowing gas blowers during the main time of year of their use. Don't pretend to support the law when by supporting this amendment, you got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Baumann?
Good afternoon. Thank you for hearing me. My name is Keith Bowman. I'm representing McHale Landscape Design. We are a fairly large company. We employ approximately 60 people out of our Clarksburg office. I'll share with the council that we are in full compliance today. It's been quite a burden for us, and we will continue to be in compliance, but I am here in favor of the amendment for a few reasons. Many of the companies here are large landscape companies, those that are commercial-only companies. Our company is a residential company. We work strictly for homeowners. We've invested $250,000 in blowers, $100,000 in our Montgomery County branch, and I will say, reviewing the capabilities of a gas blower on paper is a lot different than actually using the blowers and seeing the capability of a gas-powered blower. That $250,000 that we spent company-wide this year reduced our raise pool from 5% to 2% for our workforce. So the economics of it slides to the worker as always. My biggest concern with this is, and I've been in the landscape industry since I was 14, I'm 45 years old now, I hate the sound of a gas blower. I hate it. McHale will eventually be all electric, but we need more time. We need a little reprieve from this. The batteries are $900 a piece. You need 4 batteries, minimum 4 batteries, to make it through a fall day doing a leaf removal. Do the math. When you have that many crews, our clients, our residential clients in Montgomery County, are going to get a 25% to 30% increase in their service next year for this. It's just a basic economics. So I suspect we will probably lose some clients from that. And if we do, we're going to fight to keep our employees employed. We might ship them to other branches. But it is a giant burden for us. I'd also like to share, as someone who's lived through the ban in the district, it's been a nightmare for our company, just the calls that we've had to field from neighbors. I would ask people that don't like the sound of a blower, can you tell the difference between a gas-powered blower and a gas-powered cutoff saw that comes from a mason? It's impossible to tell the difference. One is banned and one isn't. You're still going to get the phone calls. The county's still going to have to send people out for those things. So again, we are for I don't know the right way to put it. We are going to comply with this law, and we want to eventually be a 100% electric blower company. It's just the burden that we have right now is going to get turned over to the client and also to our employee. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie Coleman.
My name is Julie Coleman. I'm here to testify and request for you to rescind the current ban on commercial businesses with the use of gas-powered blowers. I would like to have an open discussion about the ramifications of this bill that was pushed through by the council, as Montgomery County found out this year with the electric bus contract, as the units are not yet reliable and mechanical fixes were not available. After spending millions of taxpayers' money to buy electric, the county ended up needing to buy more diesel buses. The cost for my company to bring into electric, build a building to safely store batteries, buy the blowers, and all the batteries required is over $100K. This is not the only increases small businesses in the county have faced this year alone, as property tax increases, minimum wage, utilities, and goods have all increased. Battery-powered blowers are not strong enough to move wet materials to prevent buildup in our streams and waterways. The ban is set so that the dBA should be below 70. An electric Echo backpack blower made for the commercial industry has a dBA of 92 ran on high and 80 dBA on the gas equivalent. So even most of the commercial grade battery equipment does not comply, maybe on the low setting. The county has already seen issues with recycling or disposal of batteries, as there have been several fires at the transfer station. Everyone should agree that the hot fires these batteries create are in no way helping the green initiative. A company has no choice but to transport large amounts of batteries on trucks, and the batteries aren't made to withstand the heat or the abuse a commercial company requires. This bill was part of a noise ban, although now has been spun as a Green Deal. but companies will be needing to charge batteries using a generator, which is louder than the blower and still burns fossil fuels. So it is a fail on that end. The mining of the material needed for these batteries is nowhere near green. Mining pollutes 100 million gallons of water to create 10 batteries. And that water is now polluted and has to be contained. The lithium mines in Nevada are draining groundwater dry, planning to open more in North Carolina by 2026. The lithium mines are the new oil rush, with no oversight by the federal government, whose laws have not changed in 150 years, are mostly foreign owned, so don't be fooled. This is about money, not about caring for the land. How does this work with floods and other natural disasters? Solar, the technology is just not there yet. My number one concern is the fire hazard. Charging all these batteries in one facility can end up causing fires with no current way to fight. It is recommended just to contain the fire and let it burn, causing massive damage. Blowers usually just sit in the back of a hot truck or inside an enclosed trailer when not in use. Using them in a commercial setting is not light use and can easily cause internal damage that cannot be seen, repaired, or noticed before the fire starts. The amount of emissions it takes to make the batteries far outweighs the little we save on this one engine. Our concern for our employees with electric is the weight, as the commercial backpacks are heavier, which will result in back issues. Another concern when strapping lithium batteries to their backs is if these are used aggressively daily and recharged, then they can overheat, just as we saw with the e-cigarettes, cell phones, and scooter batteries. I thank you for your time for listening today, and I urge everyone to think about this bill has any logic. As a mother and a small business owner for over 20 years in Montgomery County, I am saddened by how little forethought the county put into the monetary and safety concerns, yet exempted yourselves before passing this bill, and maintained that Montgomery County is getting less and less business friendly to be able to sustain in. And it saddens me that a lot of our small business
Ms.
owners
Coleman,
will
please.
not be able to comply.
Thank you. Thank you to all the speakers. The next set of speakers we have as public hearing are Chuck Wilton, Robert Portanova, Kenneth Bauer, Michael Cousins, Chris Colby. Mr. Wilton, you can start us off. If you want to press your button in front of you, then the microphone will go on. There you go.
Thank you for having me. My name is Chuck Wheelton. I've been in the landscape business now for 45 years here in Montgomery County. For the last 25 of those years, I've worked at Rupert Landscape. I know our company's name was mentioned earlier in the testimony. I'm currently the Director of Landscape Management Systems for the company. I'm a certified professional horticulturalist, a certified landscape technician, and I am a council member on the National Association of Landscape Professionals Sustainability Council. Rupert Landscape is the company I represent here today. We're headquartered here in Montgomery County with 2,200 employees nationally. 450 of those work in Montgomery County in 4 offices. I'd like to thank Councilmember Albanese for the bill's introduction and the council as a whole for consideration of this season exemption. I'm offering 3 points for consideration in favor of approving the exemption. My comments here reflect reality as we have endured the ban in the District of Columbia for the last 2 years. So what I'm about to share is not hypothetical, but real world experience from enduring the ban for the past 2 years. I'll make 3 points. Concern for the safety of our workers. Battery powered leaf blowers on the average weigh 35% more than comparable gas blowers, 26 pounds for the gas blowers versus 35 pounds apiece for the backpack battery blowers. Blowing leaves with battery powered blowers are 50% less efficient, so you have to wear that backpack blower twice as long as you would with a gas powered blower. That's caused us carrying that extra weight for double the time. Undoubtedly will contribute to more back-related injuries for our workers and translate into more workman's comp claims and loss of work time, accumulating in higher mod ratings and higher insurance costs for our company. My second concern is also safety related, but it's safety related for the public. The majority of leaf fall in the fall is triggered by rain events. Backpack blowers that are battery powered are not very good at blowing wet leaves. In fact, nearly impossible to blow wet leaves with a battery backpack blower. Those wet leaves are slippery on pavement and difficult to remove. Our concern is we're under contract. We're a commercial contractor, so we're under contract to remove those leaves, whether they're wet or not. And leaving those on public sidewalks or in parking lots for any additional length of time will likely lead to exposure of additional claims and safety concerns on properties. My last point I'll make, 50% efficiency of gas-powered leaf blowers. Now, I'm sure somebody else will make that point. Thank you.
You can, thank you, Mr. Wilson. You can also send your testimony in to us. Appreciate it. Robert Portanova.
Thank you to all those that created the initial bill, 1822, banning gas-powered leaf blowers. I'm a terrible public speaker, by the way. I think it is the best environmental bill ever written into law in the last 30 years. The amount of noise that we experience in our communities from sun up to sundown, from March through November, is astronomical. If you're sitting on your deck any time of the day during those months, you can hear if it's a mile away, if it's 200 yards away, if it's your neighbor, it is constant. This bill that you're introducing now to exempt the very culprits of this problem during the season where they use them is wrong. And those that sponsored this bill to give these guys a break when they've had plenty of time to convert is absolutely wrong. And we know who created and supported this bill. We know who created the first bill. This ban outlawing gas-powered leaf blowers is fantastic, and it needs to remain. When these guys start losing customers because the customers say, "Why, I don't want you because you're using gas-powered leaf blowers," guess what? Then they'll convert. They'll convert when it hits their pocket, but they're not going to convert unless they have to. Thank you for those that created the original bill, and I oppose 1925 1,000%.
Mr. Bauer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bauer.
Good afternoon, President Stewart, Vice President Joando, and council members. My name is Kenneth Bauer. I urge you to vote against this bill because it simply does not go far enough to damage our lungs and ears, raise our blood pressure, and lower our quality of life. We really need more reasons to visit our healthcare providers. Hats off to the lawn care industrial complex. They did a great job lobbying the council to turn against the will of the people and introduce this Trumpian bill that shows no respect for people's health, no respect for the environment, and no respect for the will of residents as reflected in the county's current ban on gas-powered leaf blowers. The Department of Environmental Protection's website says, quote, "The council's ban on gas-powered leaf blowers reduces harmful air emissions and continued reliance on fossil fuels. It also lessens health impacts that contribute to hearing loss, cardiovascular and respiratory disease, and other health issues," unquote. But what do they know, right? I, along with hundreds of thousands of other residents, really want more noise, more air pollution, because we just do not get enough air pollution these days from cars because of these annoying electric vehicles. In that spirit, I would like to suggest several friendly amendments, because while this bill makes a good start, it missed some obvious ways to harm us as much as, and it makes as much sense as this bill. And these amendments are just as important, reasonable, and desired by the residents of this county as our desire to bring back gas-powered leaf blowers. So here are some examples of other sensible seasonal exemptions. A seasonal exemption from the use of lawn pesticides. A seasonal exemption from speed limits in school zones during school hours. A seasonal exemption from passing school buses while flashing red. a seasonal exemption from stopping at stoplights and red lights, a seasonal exemption from burning leaves and trash, a seasonal exemption from selling alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana to minors, a seasonal exemption from fireworks, maybe around the 4th of July. These are just some common sense exemptions that could be added in the spirit of this bill, which would also harm our health and well-being. In summary, thanks to the bill's co-sponsors for saving us from the horrors of quiet neighborhoods, cleaner air, and the evil specter of less polluting electric leaf blowers. Thanks for saving us from having to go down to Fairfax to breathe in the sweet aroma of gas leaf blower exhaust before we visit our pulmonologist and get fitted for hearing aids. So let me just repeat, since I have a few more seconds, what DEP says. The county's ban on gas-powered leaf blowers reduces harmful air emissions and continued reliance on fossil fuels. It also lessens health impacts that contribute to hearing loss, cardiovascular and respiratory disease, and other health issues. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Cousins.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Michael Cousins. I'm the owner of Colonial Landscape and Design, Inc., a small business established in Montgomery County. My dad started Colonial Landscape in D.C. in 1960, moved the business to Montgomery County in 1962, where we won a National Landscape Award, and I took over the business, adding design to the name in 1992. I have lived and worked in Montgomery County my whole life. As a landscaper, I care for the environment. As a small business owner, I care for my employees. As a county resident, I care for my community and my customers. At the same time, commercial scale landscaping, even in the residential market, is dependent on the technology and tools available. The unfortunate reality is that battery-powered leaf blowers do not operate with the same power, durability, or efficiency as the gas-powered blowers. As a result, our businesses have had to make expensive and/or inefficient modifications to comply with the new ban. For example, my shop, which I rent, does not have power. I therefore must charge my batteries at home. I know I'm not alone in this situation. If my crews are working in locations while I'm tending to another customer in another part of the county or the region, then I must return to the shop or from wherever I am at the end of the day to collect these batteries and bring them home. This results in extra time for me, extra traffic on the roads, and extra gas in my 11.5 miles per gallon work vehicle. This is one example, in addition to the expense of the machinery, batteries, charging, and the fact that because they are less efficient, jobs take longer to complete, and 2 extra sets of charged batteries still do not get my crews through the day. My landscaper brothers and sisters and I are working to accommodate this requirement. The reality is that the challenge we are facing already and that we're sharing with you today will be insurmountable during the fall, when leaf season is in full swing and the customers are seeking our services. We hope you hear us. If the battery technology worked, and if the problems weren't significant, do you think all of us would have taken the time and effort and loss of revenue to be here today? Please vote yes on the temporary exemption. And in the last 5 seconds, I'd like to say thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Colby.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Chris Colby. I'm with Backyard Bounty, speaking in opposition to Bill 1925. Backyard Bounty is a small, woman-owned landscaping firm based in Silver Spring. We specialize in native plants, habitat creation, stormwater management, and what we call ecological garden management, which you would know as garden maintenance. We switched to all-electric equipment about 6 years ago. While the technology is most certainly not perfect and works primarily on a very small scale, like the kind of work that we do, it was absolutely the right thing to do. The environmental reasons to switch are well known and certainly available. Even better is what it's done for the comfort of our crew. Our team loves the electric equipment. They have since the day we implemented it. They are not having to wear a gas-powered leaf blower on their back for 10 hours a day. If you haven't done that, try it. It's miserable. I've done it. If you haven't driven around in a truck with a gas-powered something on the inside because it's raining on the outside, try it. It's not fun. I've done it. The equipment, we've not had major issues with performance even during leaf season. When needed, we do supplement with rakes. The one thing to recognize is there is a difference. Not all landscapers are created equal, right? We work on a very small scale with houses primarily inside the Beltway. We are not dealing with, acres of property, and that does make a difference with how these machines work. Each of our trucks carries spare batteries. When we arrive at a client's site, the first thing we do is we plug in the spare batteries before getting to work, so our batteries are in constant rotation. Our maintenance agreements with our clients state that we can use their outlets to charge batteries. We have never once had a client complain about this fact, and normally they actually embrace it. We've had many clients remark positively on how quiet our visits are, with several even saying that they don't know when we've been there until they come outside and they see how beautiful their yard looks. We've had multiple new clients deliberately seek us out because we do use all electric equipment. At the end of the day, as important as legislation is, it's really what clients ask for that matters. This has been mentioned several times by folks on both sides. Several small businesses will do what their clients want in order to be successful. When clients demand electric equipment, the switch will happen quickly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who participated in this panel. The next panel is Rick Bauman, Darian Unger, Angie McCarthy, Dan Dyson, Tucker Knowles, and yeah, that's it, 5. Apologies. Mr. Bauman, you are first.
Thank you, Council, for hearing our voices today. I can speak for myself and probably most of the other folks behind me that we're all law-abiding citizens, and we are here to comply with these rules. We have implemented the electric blowers in our company. I don't like them, but we have implemented them. I would also say that you're supposed to stand up when you disagree with something, so here I am today for the first time standing up in front of you today. From behind a desk, it does sound like a battery-powered blowers sound like the right thing to do. Quiet, clean, environmentally friendly. But in the field, where we use them in real conditions, it's a very different story. Let's talk cost. The chargers cost $780. The blower itself costs $500. Each battery is $1,600, and one battery only lasts for 30 to 40 minutes with a 90-minute recharge time. That doesn't work in a commercial landscape setting. A gas blower costs us $399. You can run it all day, and it's a quick refill of fuel. Your $1,000 reimbursement just doesn't cut it. I mean, I have 15 blowers, and you can do the math of what it does cost for us to do it. Battery-powered units are also 30% heavier than gas blowers, making it a hard job even harder. And despite that, they don't match up in power. They may be fine for dry sidewalks or driveways, when there's small grass clippings that are on the lawns. But for any type of heavy use, wet leaves, in the real world, we need something that's going to be able to deliver that power. My question is also with the weight of these machines. I have to worry about my men with back injuries. That's another issue. The big issue is batteries don't work well in cold weather. In cold weather, they don't charge properly, and their runtime drops. That makes them unreliable when we need them the most. Some people think they're quieter, but the high-pitched whine from the electric motor still requires hearing protection, just like gas, which we provide to our men. And like the first generation technology, there's always flaws. We're not against innovation, but usually you buy a tool because it works better, not because you're forced to. A blower is as important to a landscaper as a shovel is as a laborer. And right now, gas-powered blowers just don't cut the mustard. There's one brand out there, it's called a Crest. It's the best of the worst, in my opinion. So the batteries are here, and one day they probably will be able for us to use in a commercial setting. Please don't make our jobs harder by mandating equipment that isn't ready. When battery blowers match gas blowers in power, runtime, cost, and year-round reliability, we'll gladly make the switch. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Mr. Unger?
Thank you very much. My name is Darian Unger. I'm a longtime Silver Spring resident, professor at Howard University, but I speak to you today as chair of the Montgomery County Sierra Club. The Sierra Club and its members strongly oppose this backsliding and polluting bill. Almost 2 years ago, we were glad to celebrate the original gas-powered leaf blower ban. The ban successfully, thoughtfully, and fairly barred the sale of gas-powered leaf blowers, then provided a full year of financial assistance and time to allow folks to convert to electric leaf blowers, and then finally barred the use of these old, outdated, unnecessary, fossil fuel burning, worker injuring, neighborhood grading noise polluters. And now that the ban has gone into effect and money has been spent to ease the transition, this backsliding attempt rears its head. And there's unfortunately been a lot of backsliding in America over the last year. Just look at the Trump administration. But just because the White House takes active steps to undo past legislation that protected both worker safety and our environment does not mean that you have to follow its lead on a local level. Montgomery County is supposed to be different, and we shouldn't act that way. In one direction lies progress, and in the other direction lies backsliding. And that's what this bill is. It's backsliding. There shouldn't be a need to repeat my predecessors and fellow environmentalists' reasoning and testimony from the original bill in 2023, because we know that these gas-powered leaf blowers, which are already banned in other jurisdictions too, including DC, use fossil fuels to create both greenhouse gases and noise levels that range from environmentally annoying to harmfully unsafe to us humans. Whether it's noise of 90 to over 100 decibels, just inches from behind workers' ears, or the harmful emissions that emissions and particulates that these things kick up and harm workers' lungs and our environment. We know that these are relics of the past. They are bad news and bad policy. Now, to help demonstrate the harm that this bill would enable, I would like to request an exemption myself. I know that per the current rules, right, it would be inadvisable for me to use this, especially indoors.
Yes.
So I guess I cannot ask for a short exemption for these 3 minutes?
Nope. Sorry.
Even if it sunsets?
Nope.
No. Okay.
I think we all know the sound.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, if that exemption is not allowed, and to be fair, I did not expect it to be, why not? Could it be that the original rule is there for a good reason? Let's not backslide, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. McCarthy?
Good afternoon, President Stewart and the rest of the Honorable County Council. Thank you for the opportunity to provide opposition to the current exemption. My name is Angie McCarthy, and I'm the Maryland Conservation Advocate for Nature Forward and the co-chair of the Stormwater Partners Network. Nature Forward is the oldest independent environmental organization protecting nature in the DC metro region, and on behalf of our 30,000 members, I urge you to vote no to the exception bill 1925. I'd also like to support and uplift the comments from Ms. Swanson from the County Executive's Office. While much of the genesis and support of this bill's predecessor, Bill 1822, was focused on the noise that gas-powered leaf blowers create, I'm here to advocate for public health. Those noise considerations still exist, as per the demonstration that we just saw, but I'm also concerned with the environmental justice concerns that we have. I'm also a resident of downtown Silver Spring and know firsthand that the county's noise ordinances are rarely enforced or tended to. Lawn care companies have had nearly 2 years to upgrade their equipment, an investment that would reach the threshold of return on investment within 9 to 10 months, according to many studies from cities that have had a current ban. This investment should have already been paid off at this 11th hour, and now lawn care workers are continuing to pay the price with their health at a time when largely Latino, low-income, and immigrant communities are under greater scrutiny and may feel less comfortable seeking out health care. According to the OLO's ResJ statement, our Latino neighbors are overrepresented in the landscaping industry and seemingly underrepresented here at this table, and therefore at the highest risk for adverse health impacts related to cardiovascular and respiratory diseases. I understand this is an upfront cost that landscaping companies and their owners will need to bear during a cost of living crisis. However, the group that bear these costs are the people who hire landscapers, predominantly white upper middle class households. By saying yes to these exemption, the company will be directly contributing to the widening revenue gap between white and Latino owned businesses and contributing to an ever-growing health disparity amongst our very diverse community. This bill's predecessor would have narrowed racial and social disparities, and the benefits exceed the cost of upgrading equipment, especially with DEP's prior rebate programs. Montgomery County has proven itself to be a public health, workers' rights, and environmental leader in so many ways, and by voting no to this exemption, we can continue to hold that mantle with pride. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Dan Dyson.
Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Dan Dyson. I am the Level Green Landscaping Branch Manager for Montgomery County. We service over 174 commercial properties throughout the county. We employ over 70 county residents out of my office. I'm here to express my strong support for Bill 1925, a timely and responsible amendment that introduces a seasonal exemption to the county's ban on gas-powered leaf blowers. This exemption is not a rollback. This is a practical bridge, one that allows local landscape professionals to get through the most demanding months of the year, October through December. Although as a company, we are in a position where we have transitioned to battery backpack blowers, this cost has been in excess of $200,000 just in my office alone. Many of the businesses affected by the transition are small family-owned companies. They work long hours, hire locally, and keep our communities looking their best and may not have the same resources we have. My company wants to do, and our philosophy is to do the right thing. We agree with going to battery-operated equipment. The equipment is not there yet. The technology is not there yet. Right now, battery-powered equipment can't fully meet demands of fall leaf removal. The power, runtime, cost efficiency simply aren't there yet, especially for large volumes of leaves, typical for this region. Without some flexibility, crews will need more time, more labor, and customers will face higher prices. Those higher prices will be passed on to the residents in some of the communities. It's just going to affect the residents of Montgomery County. In addition to the seasonal exemption, I respectfully urge the council to lift the ban on the gas-powered push and ride-on blowers that are part of that ban. They are not backpack blowers, they're not handheld blowers, they're four-stroke engines, not two-stroke engines. That will help us during the leaf season. Allowing that will help accelerate fall cleanup, reduce labor costs, and lower the impact of the backpack blower ban. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Tucker Knowles.
Good afternoon, County Council. My name is Tucker Knowles, and I am the owner of James Creek Lawn and Landscape based out of Montgomery County. I'm in favor of the proposed amendment exemption, and I have lived in Montgomery County my entire life. I employ 12 full-time employees, and we're in our 8th year of business. I speak for a lot of men and women behind me when I say this. Hearing the exemption is favoring companies refuse to comply is completely incorrect. For example, annually we structure a budget for our company, and while yes, we have budgeted for the battery blowers and are forced to purchase and implement the battery equipment with little to no testing in the field on our end, if these specific pieces of equipment don't work as described, what are we expected to do? Move on to the next brand, sell them for a loss, so on and so forth. The technology is just simply not developed for a commercial application entirely. I do want to propose a few questions and statements for thought. What happens during a time where there's no power? Recently, we've had a lot of storms in the area, and myself, we've experienced outages at our shop, unable to charge batteries, and quite frankly, anything, no power. There are many factors that affect the blowers as well. The runtime is very rarely the same on a day-to-day basis, and I do think it's fair to permit the use of gasoline blowers in the fall timeline. As I mentioned, the technology is simply not there, especially for the fall and leaf season. I do also want to discuss the financial aspect, such as routine jobs taking longer, resulting in higher labor costs, and inevitably result in a higher cost to property owners. As mentioned, I'm speaking for a lot of people behind me when I don't think that I don't believe that this is not a compromise for both parties. With the current proposed amendment, I do think everyone is in a sense winning at some point. We're not opposed to the transition to battery equipment, but the technology is just simply not present at this time, and the bill, in my opinion, does not go backwards, but rather gives everyone the fair opportunity, landscape contractors, homeowners, and everyone, the time to test, adapt, purchase, and implement equipment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the speakers on this panel. I'd ask the next panel to come down. I have Brad Guerrero, Jeanette Rosenbaum, Mauricio Vasquez, John Hyman, Paula Ross. And Brad Guerrero can start.
Good afternoon.
Oh, can you, Brad, sorry, yes, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bradley Guerra, and I operate a landscape business here in Montgomery County. We run 2 full-time maintenance crews year-round and bring on a 3rd crew during leaf season. I'm here to express my support for Expedited Bill 1925. Although I now manage operations from the office, I spent the last 5 years working in the field with my crews. I've seen firsthand what leaf season is actually like. And while professionals like us may make it look easy, I can tell you it's not. In an ideal world, conditions would be dry, leaf drop would be gradual, and properties would be flat and wide open. Even then, battery-powered backpack blowers aren't practical without carrying an unrealistic number of fully charged batteries per crew. But real leaf season isn't ideal. Every week is different. Every property is different. One week there's barely any drop. Then the next, a storm or a freeze dumps everything at once. Last year, most of leaf season was soaking wet. Wet matted leaves piled up day after day, week after week, especially in landscape beds, around bushes and in tight corners. Even with our most powerful gas backpack blowers and commercial walk-behind blowers, some jobs are still a challenge. If we had to rely only on battery-powered backpack and handheld blowers, we simply couldn't get it done. And switching to hand tools like rakes and tarps just isn't realistic when you're maintaining dozens of properties a day. Financially, the difference is huge. If we were to buy all our gas blowers at once right now, a total of 8 to outfit our crews, the cost would be about $4,800. I've personally used this equipment for years. These machines are durable, parts available, and they're easy to keep running. Sometimes, not all the times, we can even fix them ourselves, and I'm definitely not a mechanic. Switching to battery-powered equipment, just to attempt to match the same output in blowers and batteries, would cost us over $20,000. That's a 300% increase. And when battery equipment breaks, which all equipment eventually does, it has to go back to the dealer. We can't fix it ourselves, and we can't afford that kind of downtime, especially during leaf season. For customers, this translates directly into slower service and higher prices. Fall already brings shorter daylight hours, so we cannot stretch the schedule. If a job takes twice as long, we either raise prices or skip people. And when longtime clients suddenly see their rates go up, not because of labor or fuel, but because of our equipment that can't perform, that damages the relationship we've built over years. This bill doesn't reverse the transition. Since July, we've been using battery blowers for regular maintenance, and will continue to do so because I agree with and support the county's goals, but we need a seasonal exemption for those 3 months to give us time, flexibility, and a path to keep working while battery technology improves. That's why I support it. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Jeanette Rosenbaum? Jeanette Rosenbaum? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Rosenbaum. I hold a master's degree in environmental science. I wrote my thesis on the environmental impacts of lawns. If the leaf blower ban is causing hardship for landscape contractors, I frankly don't see the problem. Landscape contractors should be banned. What are landscape contractors doing every day in our communities? They are burning fossil fuels and destroying plant biomass. You may have heard of burning fossil fuels and destroying plant biomass, sometimes known by its most salient example, deforestation, as the two key drivers of the climate crisis. Landscape contractors are also destroying habitat. You may be familiar with habitat destruction as the major underlying cause of biodiversity collapse. What habitat are landscape contractors destroying? Leaves. Leaves are not litter. They are habitat. Did you know that the practice of leaf removal is why we don't have butterflies anymore? Monarch butterflies are famous in part because they migrate. Most butterflies don't do that. How do they survive the winter here in Maryland? They hibernate in fallen leaves. Remove the leaves and butterflies freeze to death. And we are allowing landscape contractors to exacerbate climate chaos and biodiversity collapse. Why? Because some people happen to like the look of a mowed lawn? That's simply not a good enough reason. You might not know that actually the historical purpose of a lawn is to display your wealth by spending your money on something completely pointless. If Montgomery County is going to back down from its climate commitments to protect an industry that does something deliberately pointless, we are setting an awfully low bar. If we are not going to ban the practice of burning fossil fuels to destroy habitat just to show that we can financially afford to do such a foolish thing, what steps are we going to take? How do we intend to meet our ambitious goals for emissions reductions? The target dates for the Climate Action Plan are coming up fast. This is the low-hanging fruit. We've literally already done it. Let's not walk back this important progress for the sake of an industry that actively harms our communities and that never should have existed in the first place. Thank you.
Mauricio Vasquez.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council President Stewart and Council members. My name is Mauricio Vasquez, Executive Director of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Montgomery County. I speak today on behalf of our community, especially the many landscaping businesses across the county, to express our strong support for Bill 1925. We urge you to pass this bill as a practical, fair, and necessary measure that safeguards the livelihood of hardworking families while allowing time for a thoughtful and just transition to cleaner energy. We talked to several members of our community that work in landscaping and construction companies about battery-operated tools. They independently gave us similar opinions. While battery-powered tools are quieter and safer, especially indoors, they still can match gas-powered blowers in power, runtime, or cost for professional use. Even after testing top electric models, many workers find the technology isn't yet reliable for high-volume, time-sensitive jobs. Crews are forced to carry multiple batteries, stop frequently to recharge, and in some cases, double their equipment cost, all while trying to meet client expectations during their busiest season of the year. Several landscapers noted that blowing wet leaves, as you already heard, requires at least 2 to 3 times more power than blowing dry leaves, something electric blowers still can match. This is not a matter of inconvenience in the view of the Chamber. It's about whether small businesses can continue to operate profitably. It's about whether workers, many of whom are supporting families, can keep their jobs. If we do not allow time for equipment innovation and cost reduction, we risk driving up prices for consumers, losing contracts, and laying off employees. The burden will fall hardest on small, minority-owned businesses that are already navigating narrow margins and difficult social and political landscape. We recognize residents' concerns about noise and appreciate the goals of the county's climate action plan. The Hispanic Chamber shares your commitment to environmental progress, but we need an approach that reflects the current realities on the ground, not just the aspirations we all share for the future. Bill 1925 is a reasonable compromise. It gives landscapers time to adapt, it gives manufacturers time to improve battery power alternatives, and it gives the county an opportunity to support, not penalize, workers during a crucial period of transition. Passing this bill would show that Montgomery County values both environmental leadership and economic justice. I would like to thank you for your consideration and for your continued commitment to serving all members of our diverse community. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Mr. Hyman? Go next. Go ahead, Mr. Hyman.
Thank you very much. Resident, 63 years, Montgomery County. Our facility is in Burtonsville, Maryland. I've been in business 50 years. We met with BG&E 18 months ago. They showed up last week to give me the number, $300,000 to put enough electricity into our facility. Oh, by the way, there might not be enough electricity. The head engineer at BG&E, please come around back. Mr. Hyman, buy diesel generators. Put them on your trucks, put them at your facility. They cannot stop diesel generators. That way you can charge everything you do. We take care of several townships, Chevy Chase, Kensington. They clean their streets 6 times a year for debris, safety, storm sewers. So you're talking about leaf blowers 6 times a year. Their budgets are through the roof. The customers in those townships are not happy. Certain times a year, we need to use them. Montgomery County's cost. Oh, park and planning's exempt. Montgomery County's exempt. How is the county going to be able to afford it if the state can't even balance their budgets? How is the county going to be able to do it and afford it to use this equipment? Oh, they're exempt. That doesn't sound right to me. It sounds like discrimination. The electric leaf blower is 80 decibels. The legal limit is 60. The people that sell leaf blowers in Montgomery County, Gaithersburg, sold 1,400 last week. They're getting rich on this. It's pretty frustrating. We understand that eventually it will come by and everything will work. But at this point, we're at least 5 years away from the true reality of electric equipment to be able to do what we need to do. The concrete saws, the jackhammers, all the construction people, seems like you're just picking on us. Nobody complains about having a new sidewalk or the pebble sidewalk that helps the blind. Nobody complains about that. They complain about a leaf blower. The efficiency for labor is tough. It's at least 50% more. And the people in Chevy Chase, Kensington, they don't want 50% more. It'll take our street cleanup from 3 days to 6 days, possibly 9. Took the budget from $300,000 to $650,000 for Martin's Edition only. What do you think those people are going to say to your board? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hyman. Paula Ross.
Good afternoon, Council President Stewart and members of the County Council. My name is Paula Ross. I'm the President and CEO at the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber of Commerce, representing over 450 businesses serving the Up County in Gaithersburg, Germantown, Clarksburg, Damascus, and the surrounding areas. Our chamber counts 5 companies in our membership that provide only landscaping services to their clients. 2 of these are very small companies. 2 are large companies that also operate in neighboring jurisdictions. 3 are family-owned businesses, 2 are minority-owned. Together, they report over 225 full-time employees in our Chamber's service footprint alone, plus seasonal and part-time employees. GGCC supports and appreciates the legislation Expedited Bill 1925, sponsored by Councilmember Gabe Albornoz and co-sponsored by Councilmembers Balcom, Lutke, and Katz, to provide a short-term exemption for the professional landscaping companies to continue to use gas-powered leaf blowers. The use ban exemption proposed by Councilmember Albornoz would exclusively apply to qualifying professional landscaping companies only between October and December for the very busy season for leaf removal. We think that's important. The original 2022 legislation that enacted the ban on gas-powered leaf blowers, while well-intended, causes unnecessary harm to the businesses providing landscaping services to our communities. For example, while the county did adopt a rebate program when it approved the legislation to ban gas-powered blowers, it provided very limited support for an expensive transition process. Rebates have been offered at $1,000 to $1,500 annually for up to 3 years. One of my members reports having to invest over $30,000 to replace only a couple of crews equipment that was not at the end of its useful life with commercial-grade battery-operated equipment that does not function near as well as its gas-powered counterparts, as you've heard today. Not only is discarding the still useful gas-powered equipment wasteful, the employees need to work longer to provide the same level of quality service with the new electric equipment. You've heard today batteries alone cost $900 to $1,600. Also, tariffs are making this already expensive equipment even costlier. Another member reports a need for a full-scale upgrade of office infrastructure and facilities to upgrade electrical panels and circuits to be able to comply. This is very costly. Please also note that those batteries are being charged on Maryland's electrical grid. While I know our state assembly is working toward a higher level of energy independence, we are not there. And Maryland is a net importer of electricity and currently needs to use largely fossil fuel-based sources to charge all of those batteries. Batteries on the electric leaf blower equipment do not last long enough to do a day's work for our professional landscaping companies. The batteries are costly, so investing in multiples becomes untenable. In order to charge a large number of batteries throughout the day, those landscapers will be forced to carry generators into the field to charge batteries continuously, undermining the primary environmental protection measure and noise consideration measure of the original 2022 legislation. The landscaping industry already faces a number of challenges: very tight margins, dependence on regional disposable income, ability to hire seasonal and part-time employees, and a limited busy season. The current technology needed to comply with the legislation are not yet practical in cost, power, or efficiency for commercial use. We do not see a rollback in environmental progress. We see this giving time for battery-powered alternatives to improve while ensuring businesses aren't unfairly penalized. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. Thank you to this panel. I'd like to thank you to this panel. I'd like to call down the next panel: Jeff Genoa, Kevin O'Neill, Eric Wegner, Jason Kilmore, James Douglas. Jeff, is it Juno? Juno. All right, Jeff Juno, you're up first. You push your microphone button. There you go.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Jeff Juno. I'm the owner of a landscape business serving residents and businesses here in Montgomery County for over 40 years. I'm here today not in opposition to cleaner air or quieter neighborhoods. We share those goals, but to express the serious and unintended burdens this gas-powered leaf blower ban places on small landscape companies like mine. Let me be clear. Again, we are not in resistance to the change, but this transition to electrical blowers is being implemented without sufficient support, realist outcomes, or consideration of how it actually affects those of us doing the work on the ground, literally. I don't want to sit here and belabor all the points that have already been made, such as the financial burden, the charging infrastructures, reduce of productivity and labor costs, the lithium-ion batteries that will potentially create a fear of fire or risk of fire. Worker safety is one thing that was touched on earlier, and I just want to be clear. Most of the groups behind me, in fact, I would gather all of the groups behind me, care about their employees. We provide ear protection, safety glasses, dust masks if needed to all of our employees. And I know these guys, I know many of them, they do the same things. So to sit there and say that it's affected our employees is bogus. I just want to be clear. I've been in business, again, 40 years. I've been out there doing this work, and I haven't had a problem. Knock on wood. In closing, we support cleaner air, quieter technology, but we need help. Consider a delay in enforcement, larger financial assistance for small operators, and a realistic roadmap that ensures we can serve the community without being forced out of businesses. Repealing the ban would be ideal, but supporting Amendment 1925 would be critical to the landscape contractors for fall leaf season. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Kevin O'Neill.
Hello. My name's Kevin O'Neill. I'm a lifetime Montgomery County resident. I'm the owner-operator of Great American Landscapes. We, too, are celebrating our 41st year in business here in Montgomery County, and I am very strongly in support of this bill. I've listened to a lot of the comments today, so I've adjusted mine as many of these points have already been made, and I'm sure you're ready for it, move on here. But and I will echo a comment you just made. As a two-term president of the Landscape Contractors Association of Washington, D.C. and Virginia, I will second, I have never seen an industry that cares more about their people and their employees than landscape contractors. I have never seen it. We go out of our way to take care of them. We know how valuable they are to us, and we know how valuable they are as human beings. And I am going to tell you, I slightly resent any innuendo or insinuations I've heard today to the contrary. That's one point. Secondly, I just want to point out that earlier on in this discussion, I think some of the people against this were rehashing the original arguments. That's done, that we have a ban. We are, to echo other comments, we're just looking for a grace period. We're looking for a time to adjust. It's not there yet. And why are we here? Because we've been doing this for a while. We haven't tried to get out of it. We're here because we know how hard it is, because we've been trying to implement it. We've taken on the costs. We've taken on the challenges. And we see it's going to be a nightmare. The enforcement is going to be a nightmare. It's going to be very difficult. My company, we're going to use the electric during this if we get this ban. We're going to test new rake techniques. We're going to test new tarping techniques. We're going to make the adjustments we have to make to go forward and be ready. We're just asking for an opportunity to do that. And I think that's extremely common sense and legitimate. Last comment I'll make is I want to invite every council member, and this is a very sincere offer, to come out to my facility, talk to my 45 field guys that we love so much, wear the battery blower, listen to it, wear the gas blower, and talk to these guys and hear what they have to say. Come on the ground. I mean that sincerely. I would welcome anyone to come out and see that. And I would like to take the balance of my time and send it to my colleagues. I've been wanting to say that forever, so.
All right. Thank you. Eric Wagner.
Thank you, Kevin. And if this were a Senate hearing, you could do that, but we're just at the County Council. My name's Eric Wenger, and this is my 45th year in the green industry, and I've lived my whole life here in Montgomery County. I would like to thank the council for this opportunity, and especially to Council Member Gabe Albornoz for introducing Expedited Bill 1925. So what does the gas blower ban really mean? And to some, you've heard all the testimony. You're going to hear more now, right? It's a no-brainer. It means quieter neighborhoods, cleaner air. But is it really that simple? And so 1925 is not a rollback of the blower ban. The blower ban is in effect. This 1925 is a compromise for the fall season. So what about the cost and the burden to companies and their employees? You've heard a lot of that. Decreased efficiency, higher cost to the consumer. We are in compliance right now. We have made the effort. I hear sort of innuendo that says, oh, we're not complying. We are in complying. And in compliance, and we are people. Okay? We care about our employees, we care about our customers, we care about the environment. Battery technology is good, but not great, and it's very expensive. The least effective battery-powered tools are, you guessed it, leaf blowers. Battery-powered leaf blowers are heavy because batteries are heavy, trying to get longer run times. This heavier equipment is hard on people using them, myself and my employees. That's a real health issue. It's something to consider, let alone the lithium issue. So I'm not going to get into that. Because even the best batteries at a cost of over $1,000 each can run for only about 45 minutes at a high speed, which is what is needed for leaf removal season. A 3-person landscape crew with 3 blowers would need around 11 batteries for each blower to get about 8 full hours of power. 3 blowers at $400 each, plus 33 batteries at $1,000 each, and a charger at $850, and the electricity to charge those batteries. That's over $35,000 for one crew. That is not speculation. That is real. This is what we have experienced to date. These numbers do not include the infrastructure upgrades. Costs are way over $100,000. This technology is expensive. We need extra support. We're asking for that in this bill, 1925. Most of us are trying to figure this out, but we really haven't received that much help from the council, I'm sorry to say. The rebates and those initiatives are small, and they do not make a dent in what we are having to do to comply with this. Expedited Bill 1925 would at least give us an opportunity to continue serving our customers well and learn how to transition into using this battery-powered equipment. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Kilmore.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Jason Kilmore, and I am the Vice President of the Maintenance Division with J.B. Klein Landscaping, a company that services commercial properties throughout Montgomery County. I'm here today to express strong support for Bill 1925, which would provide a seasonal exemption to the gas blower ban for commercial landscape companies during the fall leaf removal season. Let me be clear, we support the county's broader goals. We recognize the environmental concerns and are already investing in battery-powered technology where it makes sense. Year to date, our company has invested well over $150,000. But today, the technology simply isn't ready to handle the scale and condition of fall cleanups on a large commercial site. What often gets overlooked in this conversation is the impact on our workforce. The battery equipment currently available is significantly heavier, less powerful, and has a much shorter run times. I'm sure you've heard that somewhere else today. Our crews are forced to carry multiple batteries, stop frequently to swap them out, and work harder to complete the same task, all of which increases fatigue, strain, and frustration. In the middle of leaf season, with wet, heavy leaves and strict timelines, this becomes a safety and a productivity issue. We are putting added physical demand on workers and making a hard job even harder with tools that are not yet ready for prime time. This exemption isn't about resisting progress. It's about giving the industry and the workforce time to catch up to evolving technologies. A seasonal exemption strikes the right balance, maintaining service standards, protecting workers, and continuing to move towards a cleaner future. I respectfully ask for your support of Bill 1925. Thank you.
Thank you. James Douglas.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak for the proposed amendment, and thanks to Gabe Albornoz and his co-sponsors of this compromise. I've lived in Montgomery County my entire life, and I'm a retired MCPS teacher. My wife's a registered nurse who's hoping to be able to afford to retire soon. In 1985, when the state pushed young teachers like me out of the old teachers' retirement system, my wife and I used the buyout money to buy a house we planned to live in near the intersection of Oakvale Road and Parkland Drive in Aspen Hill. The house unexpectedly turned into a rental. That's a long story. 15 years ago, it was vacant, and we accepted a homeless woman, Shonda, as our tenant with their 3 very young children through the Coalition of the Homeless program. Our 15-year landlord-tenant relationship with Shonda is by far the longest in that program's history. Shonda could never really keep up with the prodigious volumes of leaves in the fall in that neighborhood, so we always helped out with removal. After Shonda was diagnosed with a benign brain tumor and was 100% disabled, Tracy and I took responsibility for all the leaf removal. In recent years, that meant between $800 to $1,200 using gas blowers just to get the leaves to the curbs. When the gas blower plan passed, actually as it was being discussed, we made the tough decision to ask Shonda and her family to move out. One of the main reasons was our decision. We don't see any way to deal with the leaves or afford the leaf removal by getting out the rakes and tarps, as our county executive suggested. In the 1980s, when I was moving into educational leadership at Walt Whitman, my principal, Dr. Jerry Narco, told me that effective leaders must see the big picture. That's why I'm here today. I encourage you to see the big picture and support this compromise amendment. The sponsors of this amendment see that big picture. In this case, the big picture is that technology to completely ban gas blowers is simply not there, and therefore the ban is unrealistic. I keep getting emails from our county executive about the challenging economic times we are facing in Montgomery County caused by the ruthless job cuts in the federal government. So is it fair at the same time for our county government to add a blower ban which negatively affects small businesses and at the same time hurts families and consumers? Obviously, the people here today don't think so. The county's made great efforts and spent money to allow our elderly to remain in their homes, like my mom did for over 60 years. Well, what if I'm dependent on a landscape contractor to take care of the outside of my house because I'm not able to anymore? Can I, on a fixed income, afford for those leaf removal costs to double? What if I'm elderly and can't really rake anymore, but I use a gas blower? Now I have to hire a landscaper who at the same time has had to raise their prices, and they've skyrocketed. If you need a refresher as to how a compromise works and why they are important, I'll sound like a teacher here. I encourage you to pick up your old copy of To Kill a Mockingbird or find the movie streaming somewhere and pay attention to the scene where Atticus Finch describes a compromise to Scout. Thanks for this opportunity to speak. It's my first time speaking to the county council. I'm here today because I think the amendment is important, and I try to speak for all the homeowners who aren't here speaking. Okay, you haven't heard many homeowners talk today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who spoke on this panel. The next panel is Dorothy Broadman, Bernie Mim, Neil Cogswell, Diana Colango, Colangelio. Correct me when you get up. Conrad Sanders. First, I have Dorothy Broadman. You need to press the button in front of you, miss. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Dorothy Broadman. I have been a MoCo resident for 23 years. I am retired from a career in the corporate sector where I worked in regulatory compliance. When a government regulatory change was proposed, what followed was predictable. First, resistance, reasons why it can't work, the costs would be sky high, and they would have to be passed on to the customer. Sound familiar? The reg would be published, resistance would turn to acceptance, no option, and effective changes would be discovered and made, procedures normalized, and customer experience unaffected or even at times improved. When landscapers tell you this change is financially infeasible, you are being misled. There is so much documented information to the contrary, and I would be happy to provide it to the council. Battery blowers become more profitable than gas during the second year. Why? Gas is expensive, equipment lasts longer, and maintenance costs are nil. Yes, charging batteries is challenging. When I asked my small business, Latino-owned gardener to stop using gas, he said he had battery at home, but the batteries didn't last long enough. And I said, well, you can charge them in our external outlets, and that's not a problem. He uses my external faucet. He uses our water. We don't say you have to truck in your water. And the amount of electricity used to charge a battery is so small, I can't even see it on my bill. Landscapers through the county, throughout the country, including our county, have figured out the battery charging. Some even handle multiple acres of land, and they do not use gas or diesel, as some have claimed. They use solar panels on their trucks, large batteries that charge smaller batteries, and outside outlets, among other processes. They have been doing it successfully for years. We do not need to wait any longer. Electric landscapers report having found greater efficiencies as they adapt their lawn care practices. They are leaving more leaves, moving leaves to planted areas, raking sticks, and educating their customers. The result is healthier lawns and reduced purchasing of mulch. Perhaps if some landscapers similarly change their practices, not only would we see environmental benefit, but you might find this interesting, there could be savings in the county budget due to reduced leaf pickup. We have an opportunity for unintended positive consequences. Please don't renege on a promise the council made to us, the public, 2 years ago. We have been waiting for relief from these horrible machines for a very long time. I find it offensive, and I hope you are not persuaded by the landscapers forcing their employees to come to this meeting and applaud. For the workers, this is really counterproductive because it is terrible for their health. And I hope you are not being persuaded by the lobby. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bernie Mim.
Hi, my name is Bernie Mim. I've been in the landscape business in Montgomery County since 1973, and I founded Fine Earth Landscape in 1977. I'm currently the 50% owner of Fine Earth. We have about 100 employees designing, installing, and maintaining landscapes, residential landscapes in Montgomery County. I'm in favor of this bill postponing the gas leaf blower ban only for the fall months. I have a battery-operated blower at my house, and it works just great. It starts every time. It's very easy to use. I can blow grass clippings and leaves for 15-20 minutes, put it back in the charger at my house. It's excellent. Also, I have a battery-operated chainsaw and hedge trimmers at my house I use around the farm. Same reason. Our company has greater challenges that I don't think the County Council realized when they passed the original bill. We've already spent over $100,000 purchasing new battery blowers. In addition, we've had to install an electric heavy-up to bring extra electricity to our shop to charge the blowers that we have. Where does this electricity come from? In our part of the county, northern Montgomery County, Potomac Edison, it's 100% coal. Our $100,000 has got us fully compliant, and we do not use gas blowers at this moment. That's fine during most of the season, but what about the fall when we're blowing leaves all day long? A commercial battery lasts about an hour. So what about after the first hour? What about the next 6 to 8 hours? Each commercial battery costs over $1,000. No problem, you say. We'll just run a generator all day long, charging the batteries, reusing them. Guess where that electricity is then coming from? It's coming from a gas-powered generator. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Neil Cogswell.
Hello, I'm Neil Cogswell, president of Solar Gardens, Inc. Our company is based and operating in Montgomery County for 33 years. I'm here today to discuss how the blower ban is harmful to our business and our industry, and which is why we need this exemption. On the issue of noise, battery blowers need to run on the highest setting possible to provide comparable performance to gas blowers. On this highest setting, the battery blowers are more loud than gas blowers. I live about a half mile from the ICC. In my neighborhood, the traffic noise from the highway is far greater than, much more of a nuisance than any gas-powered equipment. On the issue of air quality, I've been doing landscape work for 50 years. I'm not aware of a single person who has developed respiratory problems because of using landscape equipment. If blowers and lawn equipment are contributing so heavily to air pollution, then why not require the manufacturers of that equipment to produce more efficient and cleaner burning engines? Perhaps the most important issue associated with battery blowers is cost. Batteries for our blowers drain after approximately 30 minutes. This is based on the 3 different manufacturers we currently use, as well as research. As an example, if we have an employee who's out to do leaf removal for an 8-hour shift, the blower is going to run for a minimum of 4 hours. So it's going to require 8 batteries for them to get through the day. Between the batteries, the blower, the chargers, it would cost $3,740 per one employee. To outfit a crew is multiply that by 3. To outfit our 3 maintenance crews, we'd be looking at over $85,000. To upgrade our facility with additional electrical circuits and to be able to charge 144 batteries nightly, it's another big expense and bumps the overall cost to over $90,000. That's a significant amount for a small business, especially when you consider this is not something that we asked for but are being forced to do in a tight time frame. The rebate program of $1,000 is just simply insignificant compared to the overall cost we have to incur. Charging batteries during the day is not a viable option. My company has had customers complain about using their outlets and electricity to charge the batteries on site. Generators are not a viable option. Thank you. I hope
Thank you very
you'll
much.
consider it.
Thank you, Ms. Carswell. Ms. Colangelo?
Good afternoon. My name is Diana Colangelo. I live in North Bethesda, and I'm here to speak in opposition to this proposed exemption. I work from home, and I run virtual programs for a nationwide audience. Some of our programs have as many as 1,000 participants. It is not an exaggeration to say that doing my job often becomes nearly impossible during the months of October, November, and December. I live in a large complex, and the landscapers are on site for the better part of those 3 months. During that time, I constantly have to apologize to event participants for the loud and disruptive noise that comes through my microphone, not to mention that it's very difficult for me to hear, concentrate, and effectively facilitate. Noise-canceling headphones do not block the low-frequency noise of gas-powered blowers. In addition to the significant disruption to my work, I often end up with headaches and increased stress levels. You talk about supporting small businesses, but what about the thousands of us who work from home, providing the county with millions of dollars in income tax revenue, and find our ability to make a living impaired for 3 months of the year by the highly disruptive noise of leaf blowers? As you decide who and what to prioritize, the health and well-being of the landscaping workers themselves should be of primary importance. But please also prioritize the needs and well-being of the thousands of people who work from home in the county and the million or so county residents in general, ahead of the complaints of a handful of landscaping company owners who have acted irresponsibly by not adequately preparing for this transition, despite being given 2 years and plenty of financial incentives to do so. And if it's impossible to comply now, why have landscaping companies that work in DC and many other municipalities been doing this for years already? I'd also like to point out that the county did a very robust public outreach campaign for the original bill. After it became law, there were ads on buses, one of which I just saw 2 days ago, mailings to our homes, and many people consider this a done deal. The amount of public outreach for this last-minute exemption has been grossly insufficient in comparison. I've told dozens of people about this bill, and not a single person had heard about it, although they were all aware of the original bill. You should understand that if this exemption goes through, you will likely have thousands of very upset county residents on your hands come October 1st. I know that I would feel that the council has betrayed our trust in backtracking on a law that has broad public support and has been on the books for nearly 2 years. Lastly, I hope we can start thinking differently as a community about how to manage our landscapes. Leaves have high ecological value. Butterflies overwinter in them, and we're seeing alarming declines of butterflies and other important insects, in large part because of the practice of stripping the land of all leaves. An ecological practice like transferring leaves into garden beds minimizes the need for mulch in the spring, is better for the environment, and saves money, time, and effort. I hope it's something that those who manage both private and public landscapes will consider. All of us have been subjected to the damaging effects of gas-powered leaf blowers for long enough. Other municipalities have already made the transition, proving that it is achievable. The time to follow through on your policies and promises and make a full transition to electric blowers is now, not in 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Conrad Sanders.
Good afternoon. My name is Conrad Sanders. I'm the operations manager for Lawn Systems Incorporated. We are a 35-man commercial landscape company. First off, with safety for our employees, when it came to the gas blowers, our Echo 770T gas-powered backpacks, our guys had access to ear protection as well as mask and glasses. With the new weight of the Echo electric backpack that has 3 8-amp batteries that each weigh 6 pounds apiece, the backpack itself weighs 30 pounds. It has increased it by 16 pounds. Some of my employees, including my sister-in-law, weighs 120 pounds. The new backpack has now become 40% of her body weight. During leaf season, our employees are required to wear this backpack for 9 hours a day. Unfortunately, there is no PPE for something that just weighs too much. Lawn Systems, to become compliant, has invested over $100,000 with the law, as well as keeping efficiency in mind. Electric blowers plus extra batteries and chargers cost upwards of $3,000, as opposed to the top-of-line gas-powered backpack is just under $500. Also, we've had to incorporate generators to be able to charge on the field to keep up with the amount of work that we have to do, and they have to be fitted on their trailers so that they can be hauled around safely. The warranty on an electric equipment is 2 years. And what I fear is moving forward, our electric backpack's going to become the new iPhones, where we have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every couple of years to get the latest and greatest equipment to keep up with what we have to deal with. In regards to the rebate from the county, allowed up to $1,000 to $1,500 per year over 2 or 3 years. That covers about 1 backpack for 1 employee. Jump around here. An electric backpack, on average, runs 45 minutes and takes twice as long to charge. So efficiency becomes an issue. A gas-powered backpack can last 2.5 hours, and my guys are able to carry fuel on them while on the job. Less travel back and forth to the truck. And that's based off of good weather. Electric does not compare at all once things get wet. According to manufacturer limitations on our backpacks, electric backpacks cannot be run in the rain. November, December, it rains. It makes it very hard for us to continue our work and keep up with the quality. It runs fast. 9 hours a day. We were in D.C. Let me skip that. We have become compliant. My father-in-law owns his company. He's owned it for 30 years. I plan on, as a younger person in this field, take over the business from him. I want to be compliant with the county, but we still need more time, and we have to respect the efficiency of our workforce. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the panel. I'd like to call down the next panel now. We have Brad Skinner, Zach Klein, Marcelo Souza, and Greg Matson. Brad Skinner, you can start when you're ready.
Good afternoon. My name is Brad Skinner. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you today. I appreciate it. I'm a lifelong resident of Montgomery County. I currently live in District 4 with my wife and 2 children. I am appearing today in support of the amendment to the gas-powered blower ban. I'd like to state for the record here, I'm not irresponsible. I'm not a laggard. I am not a monster. I'm not trying to create or destroy our neighborhoods. I like quiet. But I also recognize the realities of situations. Importantly, as the introduction to the memorandum to the proposed amendment indicates, there is currently a lack of battery-powered equipment on the market with comparable power and runtime as gas-powered equipment. And there's a high cost of transitioning to electric blowers, including for batteries. As Council Member Albornoz is reported to have said, the amendment is common sense. While I support the proposed amendment, I also believe it should be revised in 2 important ways. First, the amendment should be expanded to include homeowners. And second, it should be expanded to allow homeowners to use gas-powered blowers on weekends. Now, I want to point out, this is not meant to indicate backsliding or walking away from the ban. It's just meant to accommodate the realities of fall in this area. I mean, as the county knows, there's a huge effort, starts in October, goes to December, to collect the leaves, to get them out of the streets, to get them out of the sewers. And it's important work, otherwise the county wouldn't undertake it. I live in an older house in a lot zoned R200. Our yard and surrounding neighborhood includes several mature trees. We cannot afford to pay for professional landscaping services, so I do all the maintenance for our yard, including cutting grass, pulling weeds, and in the fall, cleaning leaves. I have to fit these lawn chores in around a full-time job that features a long commute. The annual task of getting leaves collected and out to the curb in time for the county collection services is very challenging for me, particularly when you factor in things like weather, shorter daylight hours, and a full-time job. The additional challenge is presented by the lower power, short run time, and long charging time of currently available affordable electric blowers would make the task dramatically more difficult. If passed in its current form, the amendment would provide landscaping companies with additional abilities to use gas blowers during the busy fall season, and I highly support that. But if that makes common sense, which I firmly believe it is, then it must also be considered common sense to allow individual homeowners like me the short number of hours that are needed in the fall for leaf collection. On this point, it is not clear to me why the council would treat landscaping companies and the people who can afford their services, and I have no gripe with the landscaping companies, why they would be treated more favorably than individual tax-paying residents who do their own yard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zach Klein?
Oh, my name is Marcelo Souza.
I'm sorry, Zach Klein was first.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. You're very eager. It's been a long afternoon.
I was over there. I was like,
all good. Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Zach Klein, and I'm a lifelong Montgomery County resident, born and raised in Rockville, where I continue to live and work. I'm the owner of AIR, a Montgomery County Green certified ecological landscaping and lawn care business that has operated exclusively with battery-powered maintenance equipment since 2011. In addition to running AIR, I serve as the president of the Landscape Contractors Association for DC, Maryland, and Virginia, a membership that includes both proponents and critics of gasoline-powered leaf blowers. For those of you in the audience that aren't members, I highly recommend joining. I also represent the American Green Zone Alliance, or AGZA, as the Mid-Atlantic representative. Now, I share all these affiliations because I bring multiple perspectives to this discussion as a local business owner, an industry leader, and an advocate for sustainable land care. I recognize this debate centers not only on environmental goals, but also on the economic realities for both professionals and municipalities. Today, I'm here to testify on behalf of AGZA. AGZA is a national leader in low-impact sustainable grounds maintenance. Our mission is to help the industry prudently transition to quieter, cleaner practices through education, certification, and collaboration. We work with commercial crews that service municipalities, school systems, and private properties across the country. Our programs include our AGZA Green Zone certification, which verifies practical implementation of electric equipment across entire properties or municipalities. Last month, Howard County just became the first AGZA Green Zone in Maryland. We have our AGZA Certified Professional Certification, our AFTC Field Tested Certified Equipment, and a range of technical workshops, cost reduction initiatives, and public education campaigns like the one AGZA Montgomery County DEP offered earlier this year at Montgomery College. We also bring robust data-driven comparisons of gasoline versus battery-powered commercial equipment, analyzing metrics like power, durability, productivity, and resistance to wear. Just to provide a quick summary of the two important, performance when it comes to battery and gas-powered leaf blowers is comparable for routine maintenance on hardscape services. Now, when you look at the production rates for commercial electric blowers, as I just stated, they're the same as glass blowers when blowing hardscapes in dry conditions. They're 10 to 25% less when used on soaked hardscape and garden beds with moderate leaf material, and at least 35% less when used on wet, damp turf surfaces and for extra heavy leaf material in the fall in the Northeast as well as other regions. But the central question today isn't simply whether to ban gasoline-powered leaf blowers, it's how to do so in a way that maximizes public health and environmental benefits while minimizing disruption to workers, businesses, and residents. South Pasadena, California offers a compelling case study. Years before enacting its ban, the city became AGSA Green Zone certified, demonstrating that battery-powered tools could reliably maintain all city properties. AGSA then helped deliver workshops, equipment, showcases, and rebate programs to local landscapers. The result, a smooth transition, high community buy-in, and minimal economic disruption. We applaud Montgomery County for already taking similar proactive steps, but AGSA recommends that the county adopt a seasonal exemption for landscape professionals, but that exemption should sunset permanently by December 31st of 2026. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Souza, you're up.
Is it on? Okay. I think that what I want to say, almost everybody has said, and we landscapers have, my name is Marcelo Souza, I run a very small business, only a 4-people crew. And one of my main concerns right now is that the days during the fall are really short, so we don't have that much time to get the leaves on the curb, okay, and for the county pickup. So it takes twice the time with a leaf blower, depending on the property. I do only residential. And if you don't pass this extension, the 1925, I wonder what the county is going to do to pick up the leaves, because we're not going to have time to put all these leaves on the curb by the middle of December, as we have done for the past 30 years. So we need at least more 2 leaf pickups from the county, which means you should be doing a leaf collection. The county should be doing leaf collection up to January 3rd next year, because if it snows, we can't clean the leaves. So I think it's pretty clear, and I do welcome all the opinions that are here today, even those who are against it, because I think we, as a community, we should come together and find a solution. But right now, we do need the extension of the gas blower. Unfortunately, I'm all pro clean energy, but we can't do that right now. The difference in noise is, if now you have 30, 60 days with noisy blowers during the fall, for this year, if the execution doesn't pass, you're going to have 120 days of noise with electric leaf blowers. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mattson?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Council, for hearing us. My name is Greg Mattson. I'm the General Manager of Chesapeake Lawn Science, and I'm also the ghost of Christmas future for you. Apologize for anyone who is offended by the word Christmas, but I'm paraphrasing Charles Dickens. Chesapeake Lawn Science started in Montgomery County in 1995. In 2015, we moved to Howard County. We've been there and expanded our footprint into Howard County, and we no longer solicit business from clients in Montgomery County. We still have a lot, well over 1,000, and we'll continue to service them for as long as we can. But our focus in growing our business is now in Howard County, Frederick County, and Anne Arundel County. Without this compromise in place, a lot of these folks behind me are going to reconsider where they do business. Because if a relationship isn't mutually beneficial, you have the option to end it. And there's other areas in this DMV space where we can move our businesses to. So please consider that. Again, we know the future is electric. We'd like to be there. Unfortunately, the technology is just not there yet. And this compromise is what we're asking for. Listening to these fine people here who are against this compromise, there was a lot of straw man arguments thrown out today, and I hope that the council saw that and will not consider them when I hear things about race and white men, and we're trying to distract from the issue. As workers in the landscape space, we are hired by clients or businesses to provide a service to net an end result. And right now, in 2025, as I sit here in front of you, the best tool to get to that end result is a gas-powered leaf blower. In 3 years from now, this will be a different conversation, but we're not there yet. And the last thing I'll finish with is I'm quite certain many of those who are here who drove themselves here in their EVs, I want you to remember that 15 years ago, in Tesla's infancy, a Tesla was a $100,000 car for many years until the technology trickled down, and now EVs are affordable to most people in Montgomery County. But that wasn't always the case. So give us time to get to that point with this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all our in-person testimony on this bill for this public hearing this afternoon. We'll now turn to our virtual participants, and first up is Sam Post.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Post, we can hear you.
Great. Okay. I'm Sam Post. I'm a homeowner, a father of two in Montgomery County, and I write, play, and teach music for a living. So many other people have already made strong points against this exemption bill. I just want to add a couple of, personal things to what has already been said. So first, I just want to say the noise of electric leaf blowers is not nearly as offensive as the noise of gas blowers. So I just want to dispense with that point right off the bat. Like many residents, I crave the peace to be outside and enjoy time with my family in the times of the year where that's possible. And obviously fall is the nicest time of year, I believe, in the DC area. I especially spend a lot of time outside with my 2-year-old, who's very rambunctious, and I'm a primary caregiver. We have to constantly adjust where we're going and what we're doing based on where there are leaf blowers in the neighborhood. But also, like Diana, who testified earlier, I am a small business owner. I'm a musician, independent, and leaf blowers constantly interfere with my ability to write music, to teach music, to practice music. I need a quiet environment in order to do those things. So we heard from a lot of businesses already, but you have to balance that against, like Diana said, the people who work from home. One of the reasons that my family moved to Montgomery County a year and a half ago was because I knew there would be an expiration date on the nuisance noise of leaf blowers. I was so excited for the ban that I even wrote a song about it. And then 2 days after I wrote that song, I was dismayed to learn about this exemption bill. I've been listening today. People have kind of been talking past each other on both sides. So I want to say, I understand these businesses, landscapers are part of the community. The ban is a burden on them. But I think, the point is one side here is going to have to sacrifice and adjust. So the question is, who will that be and how will they adjust? As residents, all we can do is buy soundproofing equipment for our walls. I'm waiting for the rebate on that. We can spend the months of October through December indoors with our rambunctious children. But aside from that, there's not much we can do to avoid the noise, the pollution of the leaf blowers. So we've heard a lot today about the difficulties for landscapers to adjust and had a lot of detailed numbers. But as Dorothy noted earlier, all regulations go through this transition period where the businesses, they have to make adjustments, and it's hard and it's difficult. They might have to pay their workers more. They might have to use different tools. They might have to think more holistically about lawn care and change how they deal with leaves. But the companies don't have a right to blow leaves as efficiently and powerfully as possible, no matter the consequences to the residents. So I hope the council will reject the exemption and just think about the balance of basically who is going to have to sacrifice and adjust in this period. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dan Schwind.
Good afternoon. Thank you all very much for allowing me to speak. I do want to provide my opposition to this bill. I won't speak probably even to the length of my time here because so many of the people before me have spoken to my points. The bottom line is, what is being said. I very much understand what the business owners are saying, and I sympathize for them, and I feel for them, and I do understand. And I would probably even be willing to, say, okay, if you want to do this just this 1 year, I would understand that. Except at the end of the day, the noise is just what is just too upsetting and frustrating. And similar to the previous speaker, I can think of one specific example that I don't think would be fixed by anything other than this ban, and that is, I recall last fall a meeting that I was holding while working from home, and outside some workers were mowing the lawn, and at one point one of the workers left his lawnmower running at full volume while he got off to then use a gas-powered hedge trimmer to deal with the hedge. And I understand what some of the business owners are talking about in terms of the burden of having to recharge these batteries. But I will say this, if you have to ensure the efficiency and the full duration of your battery use, you're not just going to leave your lawnmower running at full tilt for the whole time like that person did. And it was very frustrating, and it wasn't the first time that I had that happen, and it wasn't the last time. So at the end of the day, I understand where they're coming from, but this is a change that's going to happen anyway, and I strongly urge the county council not to adopt this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next we have Chris Homan.
Okay. I was thinking about what to say about this attempt to roll this back, and I was tempted to note all the obvious arguments. The more than 7,000 residents who asked for this, the noise, the outdated technology, which with adequate quieter alternatives, the impact on the workers who have to carry this all day on their back, the 2-year transition period, the hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxpayer assistance to try and help with this transition, that this was already debated at length by the council. And all these areas, including nearby in D.C. and incorporated parts of Montgomery County that have already made this change, yards are being tended, landscapers are still working, and quality of life for workers and residents has improved. But last week something happened when the new law took effect, that something marvelous that changed my mind on what to talk about. Our Montgomery County family was up early, was having breakfast with my kids while my wife took an early call outside on her small patio. A sizable landscaping company pulled up to tend to the neighbor's yard, and we all braced, based on more than a decade of experience of this, for the disruptive ear and wall-piercing noise and the ensuing stress of waiting for it to end. But after the mowing, the worker grabbed a new portable electric blower and finished it so quietly we didn't even notice. My wife continued her call outside instead of scrambling indoors. The worker wasn't exposed to the noise and the two-stroke engine fumes. A bit later, walking to the subway, I passed a smaller landscaping operation with the same wonderful experience. I could actually stay on the sidewalk and not be overcome by the noise. What a change in just the first week, one I've heard over and over from other residents in the county. What a gift you on the council have given residents and workers with this new phased-in law, and that the county helped with hundreds of thousands of dollars to make companies make this transition. Seems like a win-win compromise. Why in the world would we go backward on this great quality of life move? What is it about this 100-year-old two-stroke gas-powered leaf blower technology that some on this council think needs such protection? Should we get rid of mufflers too? Let's be honest, this change has been coming and demanded for some time. D.C. and several incorporated areas of Montgomery County had them in place for years. Ironically, some of the landscapers would use the new technology in those areas and then come over and use the old equipment for the rest of us in Montgomery County. And as ironically noted in the county council's write-up for the proposed watering down of the law, it says, the exemption does not extend to weekends to ensure county residents are not disturbed while at home. Well, therefore you're acknowledging that for all the other times, we would in fact all be disturbed. I doubt this is little comfort for county residents who are retired, working at home with young kids, which was horrible for us when this happened, or working irregular shifts, or even trying to eat dinner or walk in one's neighborhood, given the exemption until 8 p.m. on weekdays. This was a great win, very popular with voters. There was compromise time for change, substantial taxpayer help, and county outreach for the transition, and a win-win quality of life, worker health, and the environment. Let's continue it. With every passing day, it will be even more popular in common sense.
Thank you. Next, we have David Robinson.
Hi. I support Bill 1925, but wish to state that I maintain my own yard and I mulch the leaves and grass clippings in place with my mulching lawnmower. I've been a tennis professional for 45 years. I manage tennis and pickleball programs at 5 facilities in Montgomery County. The high power blower is an essential tool for safety and playability of courts, which are inherently challenging, often daily cleanups. We have battery blowers and high power 4-stroke gas blowers, which we're researching to replace with battery powered. Not only did we discover obscene cost, that aside, found serious safety concerns with the increased weight, as landscapers here have stated repeatedly, and I display on my background. In summary, this is both a backbreaker and a deal breaker. There are 3 important topics which OLO reports to the County Council had no mention. I'd like, number 1, the consideration of 4-stroke gas engine as stopgap alternatives. The 4-stroke engines emit 90% less pollution than 2-stroke engines and are quieter. They run at lower RPMs, and they have 25% better fuel efficiency. There are many models in both commercial and residential grades at affordable prices. The widely published gas blower pollution study cited in the OLO climate report exclusively describe 2-stroke engines and lack acknowledgement 4-stroke engines exist. In precedent is New Jersey Bill S 217-R1, seasonal gas blower exemption, allowing 4-stroke blowers, but not 2-stroke. Canada has banned 2-stroke engines in entirety, but allow the 4-stroke. This is a much less expensive, more reasonable stopgap until battery blowers become more tenable. Please note the incongruity in perception and policy, as all gas-powered lawnmowers use 4-stroke engines, which are much larger than backpack blower 50 to 80 cc engines. Ride-on lawnmowers in the common 750 cc size emit 88 to 96 decibels on average, noting the county has a leaf blower ordinance limit of 72 decibels. The most powerful Echo battery blower emits 77 decibels. I therefore suggest amendment to Bill 1925. Starting fall 2026, only 4-stroke blowers should be considered allowable, and a county ban should target all 2-stroke engines. Moreover, the reasonable legislative pathways, ordinances for noise and emissions without tool specificity. The second thing, which we've been talking about, people have been saying, is the increased carry weight. Backpacking guidelines state limits of 10 to 20% of body weight. Contrary to the early lightweight handheld battery blowers, commercial battery blowers are average 29% heavier than similar gas blowers. The weight range of commercial battery blowers is 29 to 47 pounds versus 17 to 26 pounds for gas blowers with full tanks. Higher weights add stress to the spine, hips, knees, feet, and heart. Reduced power increases the duration of the task and therefore the stresses. There is an inverse relationship that can't be avoided. The lower the battery blower weight, the less powerful and or the shorter the runtime. We should recognize that battery power technology is rapidly evolving and crafting policy before we have the products firmly understood as inherently problematic. Please pause and reevaluate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Next, we have Erica Brown.
Hi, my name is Erica Brown. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. There's been a lot of talk about leaf removal as though it were a necessity. It is not a necessity. In fact, the county sends out flyers every year urging residents to leave the leaves. If it takes longer to remove leaves with electric blowers, then landscaping companies can and should raise their prices. And those customers who want this luxury service can choose to pay for it. If the council enacts this delay, it will only hear the same plea from landscaping companies 3 years from now. The fact is that we are not seeing a collapse in the landscaping business in places where gas blowers have been banned, such as DC, Annapolis, and Baltimore. There are alternatives to leaf removal. The smartest landscaping companies have chosen to pivot, offering leaf mulching services instead. This is the market at work. I urge council members to stay the course and maintain the ban year-round. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Andrade. Yes, please. Sorry about that. We had you listed as virtual. Please, whenever you're ready, just hit the button and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to be here and talk to all of you. I had prepared like a long speech, like with several pages, like many of us, but I want to just close up because I'm the last and it's been a long day. And I want to do it in English and Spanish because I see there's a lot of people here that might not be understanding what we're being talking in this place. So I'm a business owner. I own like a small landscape company in design, Plant Me Love. We do ecological services as Bounty, my colleagues were here. And we do employ mostly Latin American people. I am Latin American myself. And I understand what the majority are saying about the cost of like using electric equipment. For us, like we're small, we use electric equipment all the time. We started using that since we started. We move without a problem in residential spaces and even small commercial spaces with electric equipment. And we think that it's a matter of education. That this is a matter of like yes, there is cost for us in our profits. It costs the profits, that's true. But it also, in the long term, it might increase. It costs the cost because we believe that the health of our workers is important too, that the environment is very important, and we are sacrificing something today for a better future. But if we take the different route, if we sacrifice today resources, health, and people, the consequences will be in the future, and the costs will be higher, not only for us, but for everyone. And this is a matter of doing what is right. And my son is here, he's 6, and we always say, we have to do what is right, even when nobody's seeing you. When nobody sees you, you have to do what is right because that is honest. And this is the same. We have to do what is right. We know the costs are high. Saying like there's no health issues associated with gas is not true. It's like denying global warming is not existent, what it is. We know we are like using resources today and sacrifice today for a better future or for destroying the future. And we have like a younger generation coming. We also have a shift in the market. We have people using and demanding ecological and more conscious services. And I think this is an opportunity to not only ban electric gas services, but like to shift the whole industry into a more conscious, looking forward environment and industry. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Sorry,
Yeah.
like can I just like close? Like I said, like I was going to say something in Spanish. Sé que muchos de ustedes que están aquí no han entendido nada de lo que ha pasado esta tarde. Solo quiero decirles que el efecto de uso de equipos de gas sí tiene efectos, repercusiones en la salud de todos. Tiene efectos respiratorios, tiene efectos en piel, tiene efectos mentales, tiene efectos de todo tipo. Y el ahorro que pueden tener hoy en costos de trabajo va a tener repercusiones en los costos de salud que podríamos tener muchos de nosotros a largo plazo. Entonces, no es cierto que el uso de equipos de gas es inocuo para la salud de todos. Eso no es cierto. Hay que pensar un poco más a futuro y a sacrificar un poco el día de hoy para tener ganancias a futuro de salud y económicas para todos.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here this afternoon. I believe those are all the speakers we have for this public hearing. Yes. So this public hearing is now closed. Again, thank you for everyone who is here in person and virtual. Our next item is item 11 is a public hearing on expedited bill 23-25 early care and educating coordinating entity. This bill would specify the duties of the early care and educational coordinating entity, clarifying the membership of the board of early care and education coordinating entity, alter reporting requirements of the entity, and generally amend the law regarding early care and education in the county. A joint Health and Human Services Committee and Education and Culture Committee work session is scheduled for July 23rd, 2025. Those wishing to submit material for the council's consideration should do so by the close of business on July 16th, 2025. As a reminder of our public hearing testimony guidelines, your comments must be limited to issues relevant to the public hearing topic for which you are testifying and are appropriate for a public meeting. You will hear a tone when your time is up, and we appreciate everybody abiding by their allotted time. The first panel of speakers is we have Vivian Yao, Kimberly Rusnak, Patricia Rupert, Kevin Beverly, and Joseph Hooks. All right. Ms. Yao, you can start when you're ready.
Great. Good afternoon. My name is Vivian Yao, and I'm testifying in support of Expedited Bill 2325, which amends the enabling legislation for the county's early care and education coordinating entity authorized in 2022. At that time, I was the council's central staff analyst covering issues related to ECE, and as such, I was intimately acquainted with the legislation and its history. I also served as the council's representative on the Children's Opportunity Alliance Board. The ECE coordinating entity was put in place to effect systems-level improvements to ECE in the county by acting as a neutral convener of major ECE stakeholders. The importance of its role as a convener and coordinator to develop shared goals for increasing availability and access to high-quality ECE programs and to educate the community about the importance of these programs cannot be overstated. The recommended amendments promote fairness, neutrality, transparency, and long-term sustainability of ECE in the county by keeping the scope of the coordinating entity's work as a systems-level neutral convener that is focused on high-level systems analysis and strategy. Systems-level work involves root cause analysis that addresses fundamental drivers of issues, not isolated projects or one-off initiatives that fail to address broader system dynamics or lack systemic reach. Providing ECE programming, grant funding, provider support services, or ECE seats, particularly when we have organizations that do this work, does not further the broad system-building function envisioned for the coordinating entity. By educating the community and policymakers about the importance of high-quality ECE, the system's goals would be to generate funding and high-quality educational opportunities that would serve thousands of children, rather than the hundreds that might be served through local grant-making efforts, for example. Systems work is more difficult and time-consuming but yields far greater returns. Diluting the focus of the coordinating entity to allow direct service and funding roles would take energy that is needed to achieve high-stakes goals and lessen the impact that the entity could have. We have seen this to date. The recommended amendments support the coordinating entity's neutral convener role. The neutral convener facilitates discussions or meetings without taking sides, ensuring all participants, public and private, have a voice and feel comfortable expressing their views. The core function is to remain unbiased and objective and build trust among participants. Competition among entity and stakeholders is anathema to neutral convening. A disruptor is not a neutral convener. A grant maker cannot maintain neutrality because every decision they make, whether about funding priorities or selection criteria and decisions, reflects values and preferences. Grant making or contracting with organizations that are part of the coordinating entity's leadership creates an appearance of, if not an actual conflict of interest, which undermines the trust in the organization. Competing with other organizations to serve providers or families also diminishes the entity's neutrality. Finally, allowing functions like ECE programming, grant funding, provider support services, or seat funding to be administered by both public and private entities creates parallel systems that duplicate efforts, confuse service providers and families, result in waste, create concerns about fairness, and engenders distrust among stakeholders who should be collaborating and working together. Consequently, I urge that you approve the proposed expedited bill if you want to promote a functional ECE system.
Kimberly Rusnak.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kimberly Rusnak, and I'm the Executive Director of the Montgomery County Children's Opportunity Alliance. The mission of our organization is to connect our community to build an equitable, accessible, affordable, high-quality, and sustainable early childhood system that narrows disparities and puts all young children on a path to reach their greatest potential. As an independent nonprofit, we are nimble and can attract private philanthropic funding to drive early care and education improvements in Montgomery County. In the past 3 years, we've raised $674,000 in private funds for early care and education in Montgomery County. Our fiscal map shows that private philanthropy is a small piece of this funding picture, and we need to grow it. Restrictions on grants, contracts, services, or what is defined as direct services to providers would limit both our impact and our fundraising potential. Over the past 3 years, we have invested $353,000 in nonprofit partners through grants. On an annual basis, this has ranged from less than 1% to 8% of our budget. It is one of the activities we implement, but it is not the majority of our work or our role. Over the past 3 years, we have provided grants to the following nonprofit partners: Action in Montgomery, Centronia, Montgomery Housing Partnership, the Food Council, Imagination Library, Maryland State Child Care Association, Family Child Care Association of Maryland, Latino Child Care Association of Maryland, the Latino Early Care and Education Coalition, and the Family Child Care Association of Montgomery County. In speaking with our legal counsel, we believe that direct services means that the Alliance cannot provide child care services or programs directly to children. The work we have done over the past 3 years to listen to our community partners, support capacity building, and partner with educators and nonprofits in meaningful and impactful ways has pushed our ECE system to be better and stronger, and we do not believe any of this work has been direct service. COA serves as a nimble, innovative partner to government, able to take risks and act quickly in ways government often cannot. For example, we've provided grant writing and back office support to community-based pre-K grantees through partners at MSCCA and FCCA of Maryland, a service funded last year by Montgomery County and expected to be included in this year's DHHS shared service contract. The pre-K grant started July 1, and there still is no confirmed funding yet, and a local philanthropist has offered $25,000 to bridge this gap. Restricting our ability to support providers and nonprofit partners would undermine this critical work. COA supports advocacy and amplifying community voices, but major barriers limit to our capacity. About 75% of our funding comes from government sources that prohibit lobbying or political activity. Most institutional grants have similar restrictions, leaving less than 10% of our budget for advocacy. We've implemented strict policies to ensure staff and funding comply with these rules. COA was created as an intermediary, similar to Collaboration Council, McHale, the Arts and Humanities Council, WorkSource Montgomery, Nonprofit Montgomery, the Montgomery County Food Council, as other similar partners. To my knowledge, none of these other intermediaries or convening partners have limitations on their grant-making, contracting, or direct service abilities. We respectfully request that you remove the wording related to not being allowed to provide grants, not being able to enter into contracts with child care providers, not providing goods and services to child care providers, and not being able to support ECE seats. Thank you.
Patricia Rupert.
My name is Pat Rupert. I represent the business community on the COA board. Our family businesses include Rupert Landscape. No, I'm not going to talk about leaf blowers. Rupert Nurseries and Rupert Properties. We also have a philanthropy called Rupert Family Foundation, and I network with other philanthropies. I suspect you'll be hearing these words in several testimonies today: nimble, innovative, strategic. The coordinating entity created by council legislation has been, since its inception, nimble, innovative, and strategic. Some might even add the word scrappy. This will change if Bill 2325 is enacted as is. I testified today about keeping our ECE coordinating entity nimble, innovative, and strategic. COA is an independent 501c3 that was selected to be the ECE coordinating entity back in July of 22. As COA collaborates with its hardworking public partners, it also must be allowed its good measure of independence. COA functions as a 4P partnership: public, private, philanthropic partnership. It is able to bring money in from multiple types of sources and redeploy them synergistically. The county's current ECE system is a failed economic model. It is unable to meet the current needs of this county, much less the needs of tomorrow. We are moving in strong and measurable ways in the wrong direction. Families, workforces, and indeed the children themselves deserve better. The intent behind the 2022 legislation was to help build a better ECE system ASAP. The Maryland Comptroller's 2024 Child Care and Economy Report said, quote, "Since February 2020, Maryland's labor force participation rate has fallen more than any other state. The report makes this connection, quote, a robust, high-quality, affordable child care system advances economic growth. A challenged system hinders it. We should not hinder our economic growth in Montgomery County. In fact, our mandate is economic vitality. The more resources that ECE coordinating entity can bring to bear on this issue, the better, and this includes dollars COA raises from its business and philanthropic partners, as well as public money. I ask this body to eliminate its restrictions on what COA may do with its private funds from their crucial business and philanthropic partners. I would argue that COA should have independence over all of its resources. Our hardworking, visionary public sector counterparts are crucial to building an ECE system that really hums. They build infrastructure, bring scale, and they manage political realities. Especially in today's state and federal environments, our valued county public institutions should be partnering with their nimble, innovative, strategic, independent, and even a little scrappy coordinating entity.
Thank you, Ms. Rupert. Kevin Beverly?
Good afternoon, members of the council. Thank you for this opportunity to address you today. I'm Kevin Beverly. I chair the board of the Children's Opportunity Alliance. But I'm not here in that capacity today, but rather as an engaged member of this community concerned that we are missing an opportunity to advance the cause for our county's youngest learners and the educators who serve them. 3 years ago, I attended a press conference celebrating the passage of the original legislation that created an exciting opportunity to take a fresh look at our child care and early care education system. The original legislation was hopeful, and the COA, inspired by it, was set to work. We thought that the COA was built for the moment. However, after reading the amended rewrite of the legislation that inspired me and other business leaders was lost on the cutting room floor. We thought we could identify opportunities and eliminate barriers for collaboration among stakeholder groups. I'm here today in opposition to expedited Bill 2325, Early Care and Coordinating Entity, which honestly I would change the name of because it really kind of focuses on this entity and not the system. It undermines the inspirational language of the original legislation. The council passed the original legislation because it wasn't satisfied with the status quo and wanted new ideas, innovation, creativity, and most importantly, better results. The amended legislation moves us in the wrong direction. The suggested amendments fail to recognize the needs of the community and the flaws in the current ECE environment. The amendment focused exclusively on changes and limitations to the activities of the COA, and that the community appreciates those activities without addressing any behaviors or processes of the existing partners in the landscape. The COA has been accused of providing duplicative services, direct services. The amended legislation attempts to address these perceived issues, but targets many of the COA services that are appreciated by the community stakeholders. The result of the new legislation is heavily government-centric controlled structure that ignores the needs of and desires of important community stakeholder groups. I'm sure this was not the intent or the goal of the amendments. Still, it will be the net result unless we seize this moment to listen to the testimony of various community stakeholders and make the necessary changes to restore the spirit of the original legislation. We're still struggling to make meaningful progress in increasing educational access to our most vulnerable children. 3 years ago, we thought this landmark legislation would disrupt the current system by being more community-focused, inclusive, and innovative. However, the COA has become a cog in the government's machinery and is viewed as a simple contract, rather than an accountable partner with a seat at the table. These proposed legislative amendments will only limit the COA's services and focus on system change. Innovation is more than just an idea. You cannot have real innovation without listening to the community stakeholders who are trying to make a difference. That's me. In closing, just take a chance, take a time to rethink this.
Thank you very much. Joseph Hooks.
Thank you. Everything they said. Good afternoon, County Council. My name is Joseph Hooks. I'm here as a proud parent of 2 girls, aged 3 and 1 years old. They currently attend Hope Grove Developmental Center, where my daughter refers to it as school. Though I grew up in the EC landscape, my mother, Tracy Clay, ran a small family business child care center for my entire MCPS journey. That has prepared me to live, raise a family, serve in various ways in Montgomery County. Having a child is always a new blessing, but it was a different experience for me and my wife, and we had to really get out of being stuck of navigating the resources, the eligibility, the facts, the supports that were offered, thanks to you all and previous council members like Craig Rice, who believe in our most precious, our children, especially at birth, 0 to 5 to 8 years old. This led me to the Children Opportunity Alliance, an organization created a few years ago to convene, collaborate, inform, support, advocate, and connect the dots. And my path as a parent, COA has helped me and many others get the quality information, the quality advocacy to make parents, so I can make parent decisions, or I can make, other parents can make decisions to give their child the best starting line in life, in love and in education. From that trust, others trust. And I'll say it differently. People trust who they trust. And COA has built and is building trust and partners with many so that they stay in and for those who are out the loop. I understand the need for some of the amendment to avoid some duplication, but the restriction of grants, contracts, goals and services to centers, and funding seats sets us back. And we can't afford that, especially now or forever. I can't afford that. I'm proud to know that Hope Grove will be a part of the pre-K expansion. My daughter and all the others will have the best. I'm trusting that we will all make the best decision for those who need it the most. Thank you. And I'm also wanting to point out and support those that are here today that have taken the time out to learn about leaf blowing, but also I kind of normalized it now that I think about it, but I would say is people taking PTO. I got to leave a little bit to pick up my children, but also I'm a little concerned that many are waiting to speak, but there's been some changes of those who were moved up in the speaking today from being on the wait list. So just bring that to your attention and look into that. But that just kind of shows why we have systems that need to be kind of tweaked and looked at to make sure that we are fairly as equal as everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hooks. Thank you to the panel. Next we have Tiffany Jones, William Hedgewood, Ariana Ross, Larry Brom, Annabella Rodas. Tiffany Jones, you can start.
My name is Tiffany Jones, and I'm a COA board member, and I serve as the president of the Family Child Care Association of Montgomery County. We represent licensed family child care educators who work every day in service of children and families across our communities. I'm also a Bainham Family Foundation We Vision Early Ed Solutions Lab site, where they view early childhood professionals as proximity experts. I'm here today in support of Expedited Bill 2325 with amendments. We understand the need to refine the Children's Opportunity Alliance legislation, and we respect the concerns around duplication. But I urge you to reconsider specific changes that would limit COA's ability to award grants, contract with providers, or offer direct supports. These restrictions may seem minor on paper, but they will strip COA of its most powerful tool, its flexibility. As an independent nonprofit, COA can move with speed and purpose. It can pilot new ideas, identify system gaps, and test solutions before they're scaled. This is not duplication, this is leadership. COA has proven to be a space where family child care educators have felt seen, heard, and included. When it was created 3 years ago, providers, or early childhood educators, as I like to call them, like myself, felt like they had a genuine seat at the table. That sense of partnership matters. It's what makes system change possible. This bill, as written, sends the wrong message. It tells us early childhood educators that we're no longer vital to the process, that our role should be more limited. And that would be a loss not only for us, but to the children and families that we serve. COA's strength lies in its 360-degree view of early care and education. That includes all types of educators, home-based, center-based, nonprofit, and public. That reflects the complexity of our workforce. Equity must remain the guiding principle, aligned with the county's racial equity and social justice goals. Council members, I ask that you amend this bill so that COA can remain nimble, responsive, and impactful. Let's not weaken one of the few places where early childhood educators have a consistent and trusted voice. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your continued commitment to early care and education in Montgomery County. I would also like to recognize all of the other child care providers, some that are here and those that were not able to stay, because this hearing is at a time when they are serving our youngest citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. William Hedgewood.
Hello, good afternoon. Council President and members of the County Council, my name is William Hegwood, and I serve on the board of the Children's Opportunity Alliance, but I'm not here in that capacity. I'm here as a private citizen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. We also mentioned that I'm a parent of two boys, Morehouse class of 2023 and Morehouse class of future 2029, just to put that there. I'm here to express my opposition to the amendments proposed in expedited Bill 23-25, which I believe would limit COA's ability to fulfill its mission and deliver the coordinated equity-focused work this council has charged with us. I also want to note the COA board service is voluntary. The majority of board members, like me, give their time freely without compensation because we care deeply about the families and the providers in this county. In contrast, ex officio board members serve as part of their government roles and are compensated through their employment. This distinction is important because it highlights the personal commitment and community perspective that volunteer members bring to this work. I want to briefly raise three key points in this about this legislation. First, I want to provide context on the term duplicative services, which has come up frequently in board discussions and finance committee meetings whenever new ideas are raised about expanding access or improving support for early care for the early care community. While the phrase sounds efficient, it can unintentionally discourage innovation and collaboration. It suggests that any initiative that touches similar goals is redundant, even when the purpose is to reach underserved families or improve equity. It feels like healthcare duplication, meaning providing the same service in the same place, can drive up costs and reduce efficiency. But COA does not duplicate county programs. It complements them. Our work is about systems building, convening partners, aligning services, and addressing longstanding racial and economic disparities in early care. The purpose of COA is to coordinate efforts so families experience a seamless and responsive system. Second, the proposed limitations on COA grant-making authority would reduce, not improve, efficiency and effectiveness. COA's small, strategic grants enable nimble investments and directly align with county priorities, particularly in reaching underserved providers and families. They support family child care, programs in navigating Maryland pre-K expansion, provided trauma-informed training to early educators, and boosted enrollment in nutrition programs for young children. Restricting this flexibility would prevent us from reaching precisely the communities the county seeks to serve. Third, and on a lighter note, I cannot help but notice the turnout today. Actually, they're gone. Given how often the council and superintendent, Dr. Thomas Taylor, have spoken about the importance of early care, you might expect the room to be packed with parents and advocates. But as we all know, raising a child from birth to 5 is hard work. And many parents simply do not have the time or energy to testify on a Tuesday afternoon. In fact, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, about 75% of young children live in families, where all available parents and caregivers participate in the labor force. In closing, I urge you to reject the proposed amendment and expedited Bill 2325.
Thank you. Ariana Ross.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Ross. I am the CEO of Story Tapestries, and I am a parent of 2 children. And I can tell you, hands down, that this legislation is wrong. This amendment is wrong. Many of you know me and know that I have never testified against anything. I have often supported and backed up many of the legislation I have seen. I purposely chose not to write everything down because I wanted to look each of you in the eye to say this is wrong. I feel very, very emotional about the choice to limit COA. I remember during COVID partnering with Kimberly Rusnick. She was a voice in a void when I felt like I was lost trying to figure out childcare for my child. When Kimberly Rusnick became Children's Opportunity Fund to Children's Opportunity Alliance, I was standing there cheering on, saying, this is what our county needs. And I firmly believe that our Health and Human Services is an amazing network of people who do phenomenal things. I have met with Tamika Thompson many, many times. She has written letters of support for Story Tapestries. I have backed up the work that she does, that the community does, but they cannot do what COA does at all. COA is not duplicative. They are unique. When they provide services, the services they are providing are not taking away anything from our early childhood providers at all. What they're doing are, I learned, was it yesterday? Yesterday, that family child care providers received a grant from Children's Opportunity Alliance to mentor other early care providers, family child care providers, on how to become pre-K ready. I don't know if any of you have ever read the blueprint. Have you? Have you read the section on early care? How impossible it is to meet that? Montgomery County is 100% failing. We are failing as a county to meet the blueprint. And we will continue to fail if we take away the privileges that COA has to be nimble, strategic, and innovative. And yes, I stole that from Pat Rupert because I really like that phrase. I'm not going to lie. Thank you, Pat. But it is unfair. We are failing our littlest friends. I see friends who need mental health support. They are struggling with their parents, are struggling to put food on the table, information in their mind, and yet we are taking away the resource that can raise money. The county can't get philanthropic dollars, but COA can, and then they resource it out to organizations who can support them. But not only that, they take the time to speak. I can't tell you how many times Kimberly has talked to me late at night to make a difference. Don't do this.
Next we have Larry Brown.
Hi, I'm Larry Graham. I'm Senior Vice President for Innovation for Easter Seals, serving DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Also, the parent of an adult child with developmental disabilities who has spent her entire life in Montgomery County. So I want to talk about 2 things. First, as everyone else, has a provision that prohibits COA from engaging in direct service. I want to give one very clear example. In my career, I've written and secured literally hundreds of millions of dollars of grants. And I'm an English major, so I use the word literally very carefully. In 2024, Easter Seals applied to be a state blueprint program. This was, again, literally one of the most difficult applications I have ever seen. We could do it. We have a 5-person grant writing team. We're really good at that. But I have no idea how a family child care or a small business single center could do it. Well, COA has worked with those, and because of that, a lot more state dollars are flowing into the county. You're going to prohibit that? This is exactly what they should be doing, providing technical support. The second thing I want to talk about is the removal of many references to having a duty to address inequities. I get the pressure. I live in this world. I understand what the federal government might do. But diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, and I refuse to ever use the acronym, is something that Montgomery County was proud of. They, made it a policy to make sure that everything was through that lens. Try getting inclusive childcare for a child with disabilities. Even now, more than 50 years after the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and 35 years after the Americans with Disabilities Act, I can tell you it's still next to impossible. At Easter Seals, we routinely see 2-year-olds who have been expelled from multiple preschools, like it's their fault. There's so much to do, we should never hamstring efforts that could make it better. COA should be able to have that as a central component of their mission. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility of all kinds. Disability, race, economic status, religion. We should be proud of that in Montgomery County. It sets us apart. We should never back down. And we need to remove any barriers to help the county's children get a world-class education. Thank you.
Thank you. Annabella Rodas.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Anabela Rodas. I'm a Latina. I had to write it down, otherwise I would speak here all afternoon. So, right?
I had to watch the time.
I will try to watch the time. Be patient. I'm here on behalf of the Latino Child Care Association. This is an organization over 15 years old. I started with a group of providers, and now we're over 400 members. And we got it because we needed this type of support that COA does now. And we have been doing this on a volunteer basis during our time, using our own money. But we live in Montgomery County. Most of us live in Montgomery County. We are an organization committed to enhancing the quality of care of our members, providing good service to our children and families, and to promote the professional development and leadership of Spanish-speaking providers or educators. Now we're supposed to say educators, providers no longer, because that's what we are. We educate our children in early childhood education. First, we wanted to sincerely thank the Council for its leadership in establishing the Early Care and Education Coordinating Entity in 2022. This initiative has made a meaningful impact in the early care and education landscape. It has helped establish a common agenda and shared goals for the county, including improving kindergarten readiness, expanding publicly subsidized and care seats from 11,000 to 18,000. Build authentic partnership with community-based organizations like us, LACAM, we call it LACAM or LCIM for Americans Latino Child Care Association, and we provide culturally responsive outreach, mentoring, and capacity building for family child care providers. Otherwise, we're all alone, and we need to gather as a community and help each other with the mentoring programs. And it also ensures greater transparency and inclusion by placing educators, especially family child care providers. Sometimes we're nobody's child at the decision-making table. Now we're here, we're testifying, and we're going to different settings where we need our voices heard because we are here and we are going to stay. We also raise awareness about the blueprint, which all of you have heard is a very difficult thing. I've been in early childhood education for over 20 years. I cannot get myself to touch that blueprint thing. It's just way too difficult, and thank God for COA. However, we are deeply concerned about this expedited bill 2325 and the proposed restriction that would weaken COA. Instead, we should be giving them more resources, giving them more support so that they can support our community. This bill would prevent COA from awarding grants, delivering goods, services, funding ECE seats, all kinds. This is, for us, we believe this limitation would move us backwards. I told you I could not stick to 3 minutes. It would reduce support for grassroots organizations like us. our friends here from the association in Montgomery County, Latino Child Care Association, and other organizations that have been working along. COA now got us, and they're supporting us. So we please ask you to keep supporting us. Please don't do this, like she said. Please, let's think about our children and our educators. We need the support. Otherwise, we're alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who is on that panel. Our next in-person panel is James Montgomery, Genaro Reynoso, Chandra Curtis, Leon DeSege, and Susan Griff. And James Montgomery can start when you're ready.
Council President Stewart and members of the County Council, thank you. My name is Jim Montgomery, and I support the work of the Children's Opportunity Alliance. I do this because I am deeply interested in kindergarten readiness and the early childhood literacy work that supports it. I came to this because of my volunteer work for our libraries over the last 10 years, both with the Friends of the Library and the Library Board. Our library's programs and materials are central to the county's ongoing early literacy work, so I have paid close attention to the Council's work creating and supporting the Alliance with its mission to ensure that all our early literacy work is mutually supportive. Since the County Council designated the Alliance as that coordinating entity, I have supported it with some money and worked on its work group that developed its common agenda. With its exemplary research, the Alliance has shown us the extent of the kindergarten readiness problem, and with its common agenda, it has given us a way forward. From the outset, as people have outlined today, the Council recognized that the existing political and bureaucratic structure was not giving all of our children what they needed. Therefore, the Council wisely created this entity as an independent private-public partnership, a nonprofit 501c3. It gave it the ability to innovate and to try new things by allowing it to contract with various organizations, particularly small child care providers. And we have certainly heard how they have worked with these small providers to help them through the bureaucratic thicket of getting at resources that are available to them, but they don't have the ability to do it. They don't have the capacity to do it. And so if the Council wants the Alliance to continue to find ways to make our existing system work better, to generate insights about sensible changes, then it should not take away the founding legislation's direct services language. I will close with an image our county executive gave us many years ago before COVID. He was speaking at a budget forum about kindergarten readiness, and he said, just imagine that you are 5 years old and you walk into kindergarten for the first time and you're already 2 years behind and you will never catch up. This is an unspeakably sad image, but the people in the Children's Opportunity Alliance have begun to do something about it. Please let them continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we had Genaro Reynoso.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us here.
Oh, something's going on with your mic. Try it again. Oh, try the button right in front. Yeah, there you are. You're good.
Okay.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. You're good.
I'm tough.
You're good.
As Latino men, we never follow directions. I applaud all of you for creating this Children Opportunity Alliance and having the vision and understanding about the importance of early childhood. It
really a reality that every family, especially the Latino family in Montgomery County, regardless of the income, employment status, race, and gender, and geography location, needs support for the younger children. I'm a longtime resident of Montgomery County, especially in Silver Spring, and I'm here to support your backing up this process. I'm a proud member of the community, and I wanted to take the day off just to show support. Let's continue, and we're pleading for your support on this. Tenemos muchos hispanos que están mirando ahora lo que está pasando en línea, y yo quería que se supieran que nosotros estamos aquí para representarlo, para decirle que especialmente las familias hispanas necesitan este producto que ustedes han creado y queremos que el soporte de ustedes siga continuando. Hay muchas familias que dependen de esto. No solamente tenemos los proveedores, pero yo soy un representante de las personas que se han podido beneficiar de este programa. Y la imploramos, por favor, que nos sigan apoyando y que, por favor, pongan su dedo o su mano en el corazón para que sepan que hay mucha gente, especialmente los latinos, que somos de bajos recursos aquí en el condado de Montgomery, y contamos con que todos nuestros líderes del condado nos apoyen en esta necesidad que tenemos. Ya se ha hecho lo mejor, lo que queremos es continuar, y por favor ayuden. Hay mucha gente pasando mucho trabajo con muchísimas necesidades, y esto depende mucho. No tenemos, queremos tener la oportunidad de poder enviar los niños a que nos los cuiden, y las personas que trabajan también puedan depender de que van a tener el fondo. Así que le pedimos humildemente que por favor nos apoye. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Sandra Curtis? No? Okay. Leon Diagni? No? Oh, no? Then I have Susan Griff? Oh, okay. Leon. All right. No. Let's... Leon? Yeah.
Yes.
You're up when you get a chance.
Thank you. The mic is already on? Okay,
You're already
that's
on.
great. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Leon, and my last name is Jang. I am a parent of 3 kids, and we live in the county. I'm originally from Senegal. So when we had our first kid, we wanted my sister to come and help us, since she's the only one I know, and we don't have any family around here. And trying to get a visa from Senegal, it was kind of hard, so it never worked out. So, but what we did, we turned back and started, since I didn't know much about the child care system in the US, so since we couldn't get the visa, so we turned to the child care. So my family had to find formal care. I was amazed and shocked and dismayed about the cost. Once we had 2 kids under 5, we were paying close to $50,000 a year for just childcare. So my wife and I could go to work. We talked about moving to DC because they had pre-K, or one of us stayed home. The reality is every single family with children needs support, regardless of income. And to my point, it doesn't matter where the money comes from or where it flows through MCPS, DHHS, or COA. All I know, we need help, and as soon as possible, the better. Our 2 older kids are now with MCPS. Our youngest in the family is in the child care. We delay having a child to manage costs. But trust me, until now, the cost of childcare is still more than our housing. So, we don't qualify for any subsidies. The proposed legislative amendment will limit innovation and supports that COA can provide to transform the ECE system. As a parent and a community member, I know most parents feel like I do. we struggle with high costs of childcare, and we are looking to our leaders in our community to do something about it, and the sooner the better again. And I do applaud you, all of you as leaders, for creating Children's Opportunity Alliance and having the vision and the understanding about the importance of early childcare. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Leon. I just want to double check that Sandra Curtis is not here, right? Oh. Okay, thank you very much. All right, Susan's next, and then could you tell me your name? Kenya. Kenya. Okay, then you're next. Okay, Susan and Kenya. Susan, you can go for it. Yeah.
My name is Susan Greif, and I am testifying today in relation to my work with the Children's Opportunity Alliance and Dolly Parton's Imagination Library of Montgomery County. Yes, like the little engine that could, we are still out there enrolling children from birth to age 5 in our free book program. And by the way, we've distributed over 115,000 books since we began 10 years ago, in part because COA had faith in our work and took us under their wing. Specifically, they have been critical part of our success when we were fortunate to get a grant from them in 2022. That helped us add over 2,000 children to our program and expand our services in 4 zip codes, including parts of Silver Spring, Tacoma Park, Germantown, and Montgomery Village. The result was over 50,000 books sent out in 22 and 23 alone. COA can utilize funds to advance kindergarten readiness, which now hovers at a very disappointing 50%. Grants can be a significant contribution as we pursue the common agenda goals for our youngest children. I believe it is the perfect vehicle for disseminating grants for early care and education. Please retain that capacity in your legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's up to you.
It's on? Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Kenya Reynoso, and I am proud Latina early childhood educator with 8 years of experience, and I have the honor to have Miss Marilyn Belcom in my program. So as a bilingual Latina educator, I was brought to COA mission to build an equitable, accessible, and affordable, high quality and sustainability early childhood system that narrows disparity and ensuring that all children, regardless of background, are given a chance to reach their fullest potential. This mission resonates with my life experience and professional journey. As a Latina educator, I'll also recognize the cultural and linguistic needs of diverse families I serve. COA has listened in the voice to like me and has amplified the community perspective that too often go under ear. They have demonstrated a genuine commitment to inclusive leadership, equity, and real collaboration, not just performing engagement. Help us collectively build a shared agenda to improve kindergarten readiness and increase access to publicly funded early learning systems. Also, COA, the past 3 years, was partnering with organizations like FCCAMC, which I'm the vice president, and also ELCAM, to support family child care providers or educators, many of who are immigrant women and women of color. Also, create a space for authentic community voice and power decision-making tables, including educators, parents, non-profit business, and philanthropic partners. Also, increase awareness and help programs like mine navigate to the pre-K expansion process of Montgomery County. Support us in advocating for change at local and level state. COA was created to be able to independent non-profit to fulfill gaps and also bring a bridge for us, pilot new ideas, and serve as multiplier to accelerate the work already being done. This role is essential, especially when the traditional government systems are slow and inflexible. We ask that you recognize the proposed legislative limitation and allow us more time to co-create amendments that reflect the needs of stakeholders. We are not asking to work around the system. We are asking to work with them to build something better for our children, family, and providers. As Latina, as a mother, as an early childhood educator, and commitment to create a future where every child, regardless of race or income, can be in. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who spoke on this panel. Thank you very much. Our next panel in person is Kimberly Pena Molina, Tracy Clay, and Cheryl Torres. Okay, so first I have Kimberly Pena Molina.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Kimberly Pena Molina, and I was born and raised right here in Montgomery County, and I don't have any plans to leave. I care deeply about my community and about doing my part to make it an even better place to live, work, and raise a family. I'm also a former child care center director and a former MCPS kindergarten teacher. So I know firsthand how critical high quality early care and education is to setting children up for success and supporting working families. I'm testifying in support of Bill 2325, but with amendments that I believe are critical to ensuring that this legislation truly supports and strengthens early care and education in our county. I appreciate the county council's leadership in establishing the early care and education coordinating entity, the Children's Opportunity Alliance, with a clear structure for governance, community representation, and accountability. However, taking away the Alliance's ability to award grants, enter contracts, deliver supports, or help fund seats risks pushing my community backwards, adds layers of red tape, and limits community-based innovation. From my perspective, restricting the Alliance in these ways would seriously limit its ability to deliver the outcomes that this council and our families expect. Just this past year, the Alliance demonstrated exactly how this work should happen. In response to the enormous blueprint for Maryland's future, the Alliance conducted research with families and educators to understand barriers, partnered with MCPS, DHHS, and community groups to run outreach events, helped small child care centers apply and manage the pre-K grants, offered capacity building for both child care centers and family child care educators by drawing on trusted local experts, funded outreach gaps by paying for local bus ads to reach more families, and translated these lessons into actionable recommendations for county government. Because the Alliance could move flexibly, Montgomery County grew its community-based pre-K seats from 208 to 354 in just 1 year. This is exactly the type of impact we should be expanding, not restricting. This full circle of seeking feedback from proximity experts, co-constructing strategic interventions, piloting them using local expertise, then seeking feedback again for continuous improvement is a proven way to develop the best recommendations that will make strategic impact in our community. This first-hand engagement directly with childcare community gave the Alliance important credibility, built trust, and gave concrete examples when advocating to MSDE and the AIB for changes for the blueprint. Changes that were actually implemented this year, such as switching from a Word document to an online platform for the pre-K expansion application. So, I respectfully urge you to ask yourself, who does this restriction serve and benefit? It does not serve or benefit the children who need more seats, the parents looking for affordable care, or the family child care educators who need help navigating complex systems. It simply creates yet another barrier for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tracy Clay.
Hello. So I want to say that many are called, but few are chosen, and I'm honored to be chosen here to represent the many that either had to leave or the many that have to serve our children here in Montgomery County. So I stand here before you as the district manager of Hope Groves Child Development Center 1, 2, and 3, and their second year of being a grant awardee of the pre-K grant expansion. All three centers are owned by one owner, Salima Horn, who has supported the movement of the Hope Groves Child Development Center to come to the front line of the blueprint expectations in the pre-K expansion to increase the number of children in the state-funded program. As a result, and I'm going to include as a result of the COA, Hope Grows and their first year was awarded the 20 seats and has successfully been able to come into the second year, increasing it to 80 seats come this fall. And that is because of the Child Care Alliance and the partnership with MSCCA and along with their other collaborations that they've had to make the barriers move for us to be successful. The Children's Opportunity Alliance has been the bridge builder to support Hope Grows in pursuing the state pre-K expansion grant. Interpreting and understanding the pre-K grant requirements was a huge barrier, and it's been mentioned to you here before. This grant was not written in the terms of child care terminology. It was written under the public education school system and does not convert over into the business model of early childhood. It is because of the COA that we were able to be successful, not once, not twice, and we're going to do it over and over again because Hope Grows is going to be one of the standing programs here in Montgomery County to pursue the early child education to meet the needs of our community, outweighing any of the barriers. And it is because of the COA that I'm able to say this very strongly. Hope Grows is about to start our second year, as I said, with the state-funded blueprint implementation. The grant starts July 1st, and we were already receiving questions from MSDE, and so I had to go back to the person who I could count on, which was both Kimberly's, when it came to these questions that I couldn't understand why, after the fact of being approved, you're now asking for stuff or requirements that I couldn't understand, but they made a clear pathway that I'm able to produce what's needed in order for us to serve the 80 children that are coming to us this fall. I sit here as a parent, a grandmother, a mother, and the fruit didn't fall too far from the tree. As you all had heard before, Joseph Hooks is my son, and he is a product of me doing family child care in my home for 23 years, for me working with MCPS for 5 years, for me being a licensing specialist for 15 years, for me teaching at Montgomery College as an adjunct instructor for early child education, for me being the co-president of the Maryland NACI for 3 years, for me being the district manager. I can go on and on. 49 years are behind me, so I know what I'm talking about. I stand here, thank you, as a grandmother, as you heard, 2 children, and so therefore I was told at one point, when I look at the 260 children that are served by Hope Grows, and I look as one of them is my granddaughter, now 2, I have to look at all of them as my granddaughters or my grandchildren, and I have to make a difference for their future. And I hope that you will join me in doing the same in making a difference for the educators who serve in this workforce and for the COA and the other agencies and the collaboration that make it workable for us to move forward in the blueprint to achieve. It is achievable, but it is difficult. So I said all that. I got kind of off the script. So it's critical for the COA to have that perspective, that 360. It's critical for us to have someone who looks behind my back while I'm looking to the future, that they know who to talk to, when to talk to, how to get it without any question, because I'm on the move. Early child educators are on the move. We are the foundation for the success for one day for one of our children to sit in your seats to make the same decisions for the future. So I'm asking you, to hear our voice, the voices of the many, to, yes, do not restrict the COA.
Thank you.
Support them. Oh, my time is up?
Oh, yeah, sorry, it didn't, sorry, yeah. Thank you. Charo Torres.
How do I follow that, right? Good afternoon, buenas tardes, council members. My name is Charo Torres. I'm the Executive Director of the Latino Early Care and Education Coalition, or LECEC. I'm here to express my strong opposition to Expedited Bill 2325 as currently written. LECEC is a grassroots nonprofit organization that supports Spanish-speaking family childcare providers in Montgomery County. Thanks to a grant from the Children's Opportunity Alliance, or COA, we launched a high-impact program just 3 months ago to help these providers build the foundational skills and confidence needed to eventually apply for Maryland's pre-K expansion grant. These providers, mostly immigrant women,
working in low-income communities are deeply committed to high-quality early education, but they face real barriers: language, extensive documentation, fear, and a lack of culturally responsive training and mentorship. What they don't lack is dedication. What they need is support they can access in their language, on their time, and from people they trust. Our program made meaningful progress. While the providers aren't yet eligible to apply, they've taken major steps forward. We were counting on a continuation of our COA grant to help them reach the finish line. That's why this bill is so concerning. It will prohibit COA from funding grassroots organizations like ours, small, trusted nonprofits that serve immigrant and underserved communities, from awarding grants or offering services to childcare providers. And yet the bill also calls on COA to increase equitable access to early education, especially for low-income families and English learners. That cannot happen without trusted community-based partners. The Children's Opportunity Alliance is doing what no county agency has done before, reaching providers who have been invisible for too long. Their commitment to equity is not just words, it's action. We applaud their work. As one of our family childcare providers, Nuri Funes, shared, and I'll say it in her words, la asistencia técnica que el condado ofrece es mayormente en inglés y durante el día, cuando estoy trabajando con los niños. Pero las mentoras del ISIC me ayudaron en español, en las noches, fines de semana, e incluso vinieron a mi casa. Por primera vez sentí que podía lograrlo. County technical assistance is offered mostly in English and during the day, when I'm working with the children. But LISIC's mentors help me in Spanish, in the evenings, weekends, and they even came to my home. For the first time, I felt like I could really do this. Please amend this bill so the Children's Opportunity Alliance can continue partnering with small, trusted organizations like ours. The future of an equitable early childhood system depends on it. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you to this panel, everyone who spoke in person. Now we have our virtual speakers. We have Amanda Holliday Bembridge.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Amanda Holliday Bembridge, or Doc Holliday for short, and I'm here as someone who wears many hats to provide multiple viewpoints. As a parent and resident of Montgomery County, a former early childhood educator, an advocate for infant early childhood mental health, an expert in infant early childhood development on a systems-wide level, but what I believe to be most important, as an independent entity. The reason I believe that is most important is because of all of my work over the years. I have a level of clarity that comes from being independent that allows me to see clearly and holistically. One of the things that this clarity has allowed me to see time and time again is how there is no one right answer. Everything needs to be examined in detail in order to find the true and best solution. Nuance is necessary. What I notice with today's bill is that nuance is being lost. By using the term direct service to be all-encompassing, we are losing the nuance of the work that needs to be done and how this can actually be executed. What Bill 2325 is not doing is specifying the duties that COA can have, but rather saying in broad terms what they cannot do. Using the term direct service without more nuanced descriptions is not fixing the problem, but rather can be seen as creating a different one moving forward. To be clear, I 100% agree that we should not duplicate services. In general, we rarely ever can say we have enough money in early childhood, which means stretching every dollar is crucial. However, there needs to be more nuanced clarity on what is considered duplication. The county designed COA to provide a clear, transformative initiative and plan of what our county needs to successfully reach our common agenda goals. Putting this limitation in place will only slow the progress that the county previously said they want to see happen. The county utilizes independent contractors, such as myself, to expand the capacity of county employees to meet the needs of childcare providers. This is not considered a duplication of services, but rather it's an expansion that complements that work. I believe that COA can provide a similar level of complementary services that is not in competition with anything the county is already doing and would not be considered a duplication of services. There are only so many county employee specialists and so many hours in one day. As the needs of our county grow and we see the pre-K expansion model actually expanding with more community-based providers, it is unfair and unrealistic to assume that existing county employees will be able to take on all of this more responsibility. And this is where a collaborative process can live between COA and the county. Taking away COA's ability to actually do any work, to only allow them to collect data and report out their findings, will prevent substantial changes from occurring in a time-sensitive way. COA was created because these needs exist. It is essential these nuances of their focus and their work be taken into account rather than broadly removing any direct serviceability. Because this issue needs additional time and focus after your decision, I'm here to give any help as I can going forward. As I previously stated, my focus is always going to be what is best for young children, and I offer this as an independent perspective, but always focusing on what our smallest residents need. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Vanessa Brody.
Good afternoon, esteemed Council President and members. My name is Vanessa Brody, and I'm in support of this bill, but would like amendments with taking out the wording and definition of direct service by supporting the families, educators, and children of Montgomery County. I'm here representing the Nursery, a small but mighty early childhood center that's proudly served the Gaithersburg area for nearly 30 years. All of our dedicated staff live right here in Montgomery County, and our center has deep roots in the community. We are committed to providing high-quality early care and education to the children who, of course, live in and around Gaithersburg. We are not a large franchise or a mega center. We are a small program with a maximum of 45 children, and we take deep pride in that. Our size allows us to build deep connections with our families and offer personalized care. We are part of a Child Care and Public Space program, a partnership led by HHS, which has made it possible to reduce overhead costs and in turn pass those savings directly to our families. But just as important as affordability is our commitment to offering a safe, enriching, and developmentally appropriate environment for all of the children in our care. Our partnership with the organizations like Children's Opportunity Alliance, COA, is especially meaningful. As a small center, we face unique challenges, limited funds, and minimal back office support, and difficulty building networks like larger corporate providers. COA has stepped in to fill those gaps, and as a provider and board representative for COA, but ultimately as an educator, I firsthand see how essential the support is. This upcoming school year is especially significant because it marks the first time we are implementing Maryland's Blueprint Pre-K Expansion Grant, providing more accessible education for our youngest residents. After 3 failed attempts at a master's level ECE educator, one of the main reasons I felt confident in completing the application was knowing that experienced community-based organizations like COA, Family Child Care Alliance of Maryland, and Maryland State Child Care Association would be there to support us. But here's the concern. Our grant officially began on July the 1st, and as of today, we still have not been informed if those support services will still be in place or who will provide them, and how they'll be funded or how we can access them. The lack of clarity is very unsettling as a small business owner. And what's even more troubling is if proposed legislation passes, COA will be restricted from providing grants, even if they secured private philanthropic funds to help us with this central back office function. They still won't be allowed to help, and those are necessary barriers. COA was created to be flexible, responsive, and rooted in the voices of both parents and early childhood educators. They ask us what we need, and then they work to make that happen for us. That's the kind of support we need more of and not less. So we're asking that you preserve the flexibility and funding models that allows organizations like COA to help small providers like us not just survive, but thrive. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we have Wanda Person.
Thank you. My name is Wanda Person. I'm a family child care provider. I'm also a member of the Family Child Care Association of Montgomery County. I am also a member of the Maryland State Family Child Care Association. I'm asking you also to consider this bill in regard to limiting the Children's Opportunity Alliance from a lot of the work that it's doing. I want to give you a little sneak peek or a little view of what many of us who do the job that I do have to supply and do for the children, from redoing and sometimes upgrading our homes to sometimes having to upgrade and change playgrounds in our front yards or backyards, to buying equipment and other things, as you heard about the books someone was talking about the books, to having to take classes and make sure that we're keeping ourselves educated so that we can work with, teach, and help these beautiful children. As many of us, sorry, you hear my children in the background. As many of us have heard, it takes a village to raise a child. Not only do we need the village, we need all the suppliers of the village. We need all the people who come help the village. Come here, guys. Shh, quiet, Miss Swan is on the computer. Shh, come here, I'm on the computer. Come here, quick, quick, quick. I'm almost finished. And so, to help these children, we do not want to limit the COA. Even though there are many organizations that help us because of us getting through COVID and a lot of things that have happened in the past, many child care providers are still getting back on their feet. We need many different organizations that can help. One of the things that COA does, as I said previously, the grants and the money that they can freely give. I want to give a shout out to the Child Care Support Services. They help us with education in other areas, but they lost a lot of their budget when everything happened with COVID. Please do not limit the COA with what they can do to help us. Last but not least, as you've heard about the pre-K expansion, we don't know how much is going to change and how much funding we need for that. Please consider what you're doing and do not limit us and do not limit your youngest constituents, the children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Persons. You are the last person to testify on this bill. This public hearing is now closed. That is our last public hearing for this afternoon. Our meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.